Clark Athletic Center on the campus of UMass Boston. It's a basketball doubleheader today. We start with the UMass Boston Beacon women taking on Becker College. Bill Spalding, glad to be with you. We'll be joined by Steve Witkowski throughout the night as well. Beacons come in red hot, 3-1, back-to-back wins, and in those big lopsided wins, Beacon offense has scored 93 points a game, 90 points in a win against Riviere, 96 last time out against Fisher College. Meanwhile, Becker comes in at 2-2. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll get you set for this matchup, UMass Boston and Becker. Tip-off coming up in about 10 minutes.
Paris changed my life, and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris. The subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in and a woman in a long gown. And it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. That's one of those moments you never forget.
Bill Spalding back with you at the Clark Athletic Center as we get set for tip-off between UMass Boston and Becker College in a non-conference matchup. This is only the second all-time meeting between these two schools. They haven't played since 1998. That game, a 14-point win for UMass Boston, so 19 years later, which, again, more years ago than some of the freshmen on these two teams were born. 19 years later, they meet again as one of two NECC teams on the Beacon's schedule this season. Look at our player to watch, and for UMass Boston, we're going to focus in on one of those freshmen as part of this young core, and that's Joey Grassi. She's been tremendous so far this season, coming off a double-double, 21 points last time out, 12 rebounds as well in the Beacon win over Fisher. This season, she's averaging 15 points to lead the Beacons and also averaging 8 rebounds as well. So she has been just what the Beacons needed on a very young group with only 3 returners back from last season. Well, mention Joey Grassi and the work she's done. Let's take a look at the highlights from the Beacons' home opener win against Coast Guard Academy, 70-59. At the Clark Athletic Center, getting set for action between UMass Boston and Becker. And for the first time today, we bring in Steve Witkowski as well. Steve, looking forward to working with you through this one. Let's take a look at the team stats coming into this game. Beacon's 3-1. Becker is 2-2 on the season. And you see that offense for the Beacons. They're scoring 76 points a game, aided by the 96 and 90 the last two games for UMass Boston.
Yeah, it's going to be a very exciting game. Obviously, we talk about the stats, very polar opposite offenses. Becker College only scoring 51.3 points per game, but they're holding teams to a minimum 56 points per game. And the Beacons obviously are scoring 76 points per game with all these freshmen. They have a transfer, and the returners are clicking offensively right now.
Big key to watch, though, will be the turnovers, because Becker is a team that really likes to force turnovers. They force 29 a game, and the Beacons have only been giving it away 15 times a game this season. Now for the team leaders, we mentioned Joey Grassi, who's leading the Beacons in a number of offensive categories. Well, Grassi, you see, leader in points, leader in field goal percentage, three-point percentage, and rebounds. But how about the point guard, Lydia Vital, who's the straw that's really stirring the drink as a senior transfer?
Yeah, and I mean, you talked about the turnovers. Usually the turnovers come from those handling the ball, and Lily Vital obviously is going to be in control of the point today, and they're going to look for her to kind of take control and not turn the ball over as much as Becker has really pressured some of the offenses so far.
Meanwhile, Becker is incredibly balanced. Nobody has scored more than 9 points a game for Becker, but 6 different players have scored at least 6.5 points a game for the Hawks. So a balanced team that can't just take one player out of the equation. Becker College, coached by David Bostic in his 4th season for the school just outside of Worcester, located in Leicester, Massachusetts. UMass Boston, coached by Christina Ball, who is in her 3rd year with the Beacons. They were 16-12 her first season, 9-17 last year, but off to the 3-1 start this time around for Coach Ball and the Beacons. We'll step aside and we come back. We'll have the starting lineups, keys to the game, and we'll get things going. UMass Boston and Becker. Tip-off coming up in about 5 minutes here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
The University of Massachusetts Boston. It's just minutes from downtown, and the Princeton Review calls it one of the best values in the country. A nationally recognized institution of academic excellence and research, UMass Boston offers more than 150 undergraduate and graduate programs, 16 Division III sports, and more than 100 student organizations. To learn more about the opportunities waiting for you at UMass Boston, visit in person or online. UMass Boston, a research university with a teaching soul.
Back at the Clark Athletic Center, getting set for UMass Boston and Becker. Let's take a look at the starting lineups, and we'll start with the Becker Hawks. Point guard is a junior, Katie Anderson. Leading scorer, Maria Triplett, does not start, but again, that shows you just how balanced a group it is for Becker. She's the team leader with 9, but a couple of these starters average almost 9 points a game.
Exactly. She's the team leader in a lot of other categories as well. So it does show that they have a balanced lineup, and it's a very young group for Becker College. Triplett, a sophomore. Their other starters, sophomore, junior, sophomore.
Yeah, 3 juniors, 2 starters in the starting lineup for Becker, and then coming off the bench, a couple of sophomores and freshmen. Not many seniors on this Hawk group. It's 2-2 to start this season, coming in off a 59-40 win last time out against Maine Presque Isle. And now the starting lineup for UMass Boston.
My name is Joey Grassi. I'm a freshman. I'm a forward, and I'm from Plymouth, Mass.
My name is Lydia Vital. I'm from Cambridge, Mass. I'm a senior, and I'm a point guard.
Alicia Quinones, sophomore forward from Stoughton, Mass.
Katie Matthews, senior guard, Coventry, Connecticut.
Megan Dixon, freshman, guard, Hanover, Mass.
It's a young group for the Beacons as well, though buoyed by seniors Katie Matthew and the senior transfer Lydia Vital. Let's talk Alicia Quinones, who is a sophomore, but is really taking a big step forward this year. She only averaged 4 points a game as a freshman this season, 10 points, 5 rebounds a game, adding some real experience down low for UMass Boston.
Yeah, definitely coming back a lot more conditioned, and you could see last year she had points in her stint that she really had troubles with fouls, and she would just come out of the game early and didn't really get to start and keep going. And Raven Kelsey kind of picked up the offense for her, but Alicia Cones coming out and obviously better conditioned, looking good so far. And another thing to speak on is the two rookies, Megan Dixon getting her first start tonight, and Joey Grassi. Both won Rookie of the Weeks this and the last week. Very exciting if you're a Beacons fan with these young Beacons coming on.
And both coming off double-doubles in the win against Fisher College last time out, 21-12 for Grassi and 21-10 for Dixon. The referees for today's matchup are a group of three. We've got Kyle Westcott, Ashley Mayerjak, and Linda Kashow. Let's talk keys to the game. Wicko, give me a few of your keys to this matchup.
Well, I mean, obviously with Becker College pressing the defense, they have to, first of all, spread the ball offensively and not turn over the ball offensively. They have to take advantage of the glass. Obviously, Joey Grassi reminds me a lot of Olivia Murphy. She was here a couple years ago, obviously a 1,000-point scorer for your Beacons, and just she could also shoot the three. So last thing, you have to stop leaving points at the free throw line, especially with a younger team. Maybe their free throw percentage is a little down for the team. They have to pick that up today.
Yeah, only in the 60s, and you look at some of the key Beacon players, a couple of them shooting closer to 50% from the free throw line. So in games that are going to get closer and closer as the year goes along, particularly once you start to inch toward conference play, and for the Beacons, conference play starts against Rhode Island College and Keene State coming up. Keene State on December 2nd, so it's really only a couple games away. Got to get things cleaned up by that point. Well, we'll step aside. Starting lineups are about to be announced, then the national anthem. When we return, tip-off between UMass Boston and Becker in Game 1 of our doubleheader today on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny, nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
Set for action here at the Clark Athletic Center. Women's basketball, UMass Boston versus Becker, followed by men's basketball, UMass Boston versus MIT. That's on the docket tonight. Starting lineups, we'll run you through them one more time. For Becker, point guard is Katie Anderson. Shooting guard is Cassidy Harrison. Third guard in the starting lineup is Sarah Ware. The forwards are Sierra McKissick and Adriana Dowdy. 3 juniors, 2 sophomores in the starting lineup for the Hawks. For UMass Boston, point guard is Lydia Vital, a senior transfer from Keene State, transferring closer to home, nearby Cambridge, Massachusetts. Megan Dixon, freshman guard, part of a 4-guard lineup for the Beacons. Also starting at guard, Katie Matthew, the senior, and Alicia Quinones, the sophomore. And then down low, Joey Grassi, freshman from Plymouth, Massachusetts, who was one of the top players in the state of Massachusetts during her high school career. She scored more than 1,500 points and had more than 1,500 rebounds at Plymouth North.
Yeah, definitely a player to watch today. Obviously, looking at Becker College's starting lineup, a little bit smaller than the Beacons. So it would be interesting to see how they can really work inside to Joey Grassi and see if they can't get a couple easy baskets that way.
Becker's starting lineup, nobody taller than 5'9". You know, Beacons aren't traditionally a big team either, but Grassi at 6 feet will be the tallest player on the court today. Becker likes to play zone. We've talked about things you might expect from them defensively. So against his zone, really important to move that basketball, and you're going to have to knock down some perimeter shots.
Yeah, and looking at the Beacons, obviously they have Joey Grassi, they have Megan Dixon, and Katie Matthew, a returner, great shooter outside the perimeter. So look to those three individuals to kind of get it going outside the arc and outside the perimeter today.
UMass Boston 3-1, looking to improve to 4-1 in the early part of the non-conference schedule with just one more game to go before the conference opener up in New Hampshire at Keene State, which comes your way this weekend. Saturday, the conference opener. Between now and then, a game Thursday against Fitchburg State. Meanwhile, for Becker, they'll open up conference play next on Saturday at Elms College, so it's the final non-conference tune-up before conference play for Becker.
Yeah, and for coaches at this time, it's really trying to solidify a lineup that you could bring into conference play that you feel confident with. Obviously, both teams have a lot of freshmen and newcomers to the team with the Beacons, with Lydia Vital, and obviously they have a couple of freshmen on the team. It's trying to solidify that lineup that they could bring into Keene State and think that they're going to dominate with.
10 minutes on the clock in the first quarter. Of course, in women's college basketball, 4 quarters. 10 minutes apiece with 1 media timeout in each quarter. Either the first coach's timeout or the first whistle under the 5-minute mark. Beacons in white, Becker in black. Joey Grassi and Adriana Dowdy to tip. And Grassi uses those extra couple of inches to control the opening tip-off. First possession of the Beacons. Here's Megan Dixon. Let's go a long 3 off the mark. And it's out of bounds off the miss. So the Beacons start 0 for 1 from downtown, but Dixon is a dead-eye shooter, 36% from 3 this season.
Yeah, I was talking to a lot of coaches around Beaconville, Coach Baugh and some people around Beaconville, and they said she was struggling with confidence, obviously comes out and shoots a 3 at least 5 or 6 feet beyond the arc.
Becker's first offensive possession. Here's Sierra McKissick, junior from Charlton, Mass. Working it inside to Dowdy, comes back up top to McKissick. Just 7 to shoot. Here's a 3. Cassidy Harrison blocked. Well covered by Grassi, and the Beacons push it. Lydia Vital, the senior guard, all the way to the tin. She's fouled. Free throws coming for Lydia Vital on that hard drive to the rim.
And Vital reminds me of Tajay Burston from last year. A good facilitator, and she takes it to the rack when need be. And obviously a great look right there.
Foul on Adriana Dowdy is her first. Well, having a good point guard, even a great point guard, if you look at the numbers Vital put up at Keene State the past 3 years, can be a huge boost to a college basketball team. I mentioned the key was free throws, and there's an opening free throw miss for the Beacons.
A college basketball team and a young team for that matter. Obviously, you want a veteran at the point, especially for these games where it's press-heavy defense. You want someone that's a veteran that can handle the basketball.
Little token pressure from the Beacons, beaten down the floor. Sarah Ware down low, puts Becker on the board. Becker leads 2-1. Beacons break the pressure, now a 2-on-1. Dixon. Beacons cold early, long rebound, skitters out, and goes to Becker. Well, there is that pressure defense, which has forced almost 30 turnovers a game for Coach David Bostic and his Becker Hawks.
And you'll see that a lot in the later game today, too, with UMass Boston being a little smaller than MIT. Those smaller teams have to get their points somehow.
Here's McKissick again. Junior nursing major at Becker, and a travel's called. Sarah Ware called for the travel. Turnover Becker. Possession back to the Beacons. though a dead ball turnover does allow Becker to set its full court pressure up.
Exactly. You can see the Beacons looking for Lydia Vital right now.
That was broken perfectly with diagonal passing. Dixon, for her first 3. Textbook press break, though, from the Beacons.
Textbook press break, not lacking confidence. Dixon chucking up a couple shots early.
All clean looks, just haven't fallen yet. Possession to Becker. We've played almost 2 minutes. Second meeting between these schools. The last came 19 years ago, and close to half this roster wasn't even born. Just 6 to shoot for Becker. With 2, McKissick into the paint, gets it off. And a rebound down to Grassi. You'll hear that a lot. She's team leader with 8 rebounds a game. See if the Beacons can get a paint touch to their star freshman Grassi. Dixon penetrates. Ball skips through Quinones' hands and out of bounds for UMass Boston. Unforced turnover.
Yeah, Beacons really haven't gotten the ball down low for any easy shots so far. They're kind of working that perimeter and obviously turn the ball over a couple times.
Remember, Becker drops back into that zone, and it takes a lot of passing to break down zones and get inside. So far, UMass Boston fallen into the crutch of working the perimeter against the zone. Pass just made its way through to McKissick. On the cut, it's stripped away from Ware. Lydia Vital comes in and wipes it out of bounds to Becker. Just 12 to shoot for the Hawks. Good defense from Vital, who was on the conference Little East All defensive team last year.
Yeah, definitely a huge pickup for the Beacons. Obviously, first of all, a veteran, but also a very good defensive player. You see right there, not letting an easy basket go.
McKissick overpowered it. Rebound down to Quinones. Every chance the Beacons get, they're looking to push. Here's the senior, Katie Matthew. Passed up a look inside. Quinones knocks it down. Alicia Quinones, the sophomore from nearby Stoughton, continues her strong start to her sophomore campaign.
Yeah, Quinones looks like she has a lot more confidence this year. Maybe last year she wouldn't have pulled that shot from beneath the arc.
Averaging 10 points a game over the first 4 games of the season for UMass Boston. McKissick's had a lot of the ball early. Into the corner, Cassidy Harrison, count the 3, and the foul. Alicia Quinones fouls her, and it's a chance for a 4-point play.
Yeah, you can't have that this early in the game, especially with baskets coming at a premium.
So Becker goes ahead by 2. Free throw coming for Harrison, who was only shooting 17% from 3 before that one went down. Becker has struggled to shoot the basketball this season, shooting just 20% from 3 and 32% from the floor during a 2-2 start. Vital, drive and dish. Pass in for Grassi, batted away. Good hands from Jaslyn Contreras, who just entered the game and needed to make that play because Contreras cedes about 6 inches to Grassi.
Yeah, and a very good look for Dixon, looking for Grassi down low.
Up top, Matthew. Into the corner, Vital open for 3. Lydia Vital hits the Beacons' first 3 of the day, and we're even at 6. Clean look, Dowdy passes up the 3, penetrates, and overcooks it.
A lot of energy on that Beacon bench. Obviously, a lot of new faces and a lot of people really learning the culture of Beacons basketball. And Raven Kelsey, a senior that really has implemented the culture of women's basketball here on the campus.
Yeah, you talk about new faces. Well, Raven Kelsey, a grizzled veteran of this Beacon group, senior from right here in Boston, averaging 5 points, 5 rebounds a game this season. Kelsey was a second-team all-conference player last year. She scored about 11 a game last season. And off the bench, she's in shooting. 3's too strong.
And one person that is not afraid to take a shot for the Beacons. Last year, she was their crutch at times because a lot of people wouldn't take the shots with Tajay Burston and a couple of other individuals, but she will take the shot anytime.
Quinones jumps the passing lane, and the ball is out of bounds. Off of UMass Boston, just 12 to shoot for Becker. Beacons with wins over Riviere and Fisher in the last 2 games, also beat Coast Guard Academy. The lone loss, a 4-point loss to a good NESCAC team in Colby. Becker 2-2 so far this year as McKissick overpowered it. Becker has beaten Anna Maria and Maine Presque Isle, lost to WPI and Clark. Quinone stuffed. Well defended by Cassidy Harrison inside. Still level at 6. Jacking up a long 2. It didn't go down for Contreras. And a rebounding foul is called on Joey Grassi. Grassi got tied up with Dowdy. It's Grassi's first foul and the 3rd on the Beacons.
Always wanted to know what it's like to really take a break in the middle of the season. Obviously, Thanksgiving last Thursday, they took a couple days off. Their last game was exactly a week ago. Playing a spring sport, it seems kind of odd just taking off a couple days.
And it's even odd in the basketball world. A lot of teams, including this Becker team, played some type of tournament over the weekend. Of course, the Beacons men team hosted a tournament here over Thanksgiving weekend, but week off for this Beacon women's basketball team since they were red hot. Grassi on the follow, didn't go, and as hot as they were, sometimes you want to just keep playing. Scored 90 and 96 points over the last 2 games. Well, it brings us to a timeout on the floor. So while we have a chance, we'll get it down to the 3rd member of our crew, Seth Arensky, who is standing by. 6-6 Beacons and Becker. And as we get Seth set, we'll be down to him momentarily. All right, let's check in with Seth.
Thanks, guys. One thing to watch for with this UMass Boston team is the fact that with so many young bigs, the Beacons needed a coach devoted solely to the bigs, and they got it last week. Kirsten Morrison, former member of this program, 1,000-point scorer and 3-sport athlete at UMass Boston, also an assistant coach with the women's volleyball team, joined the coaching staff last week. She should be able to help this team that has 5 young bigs, all freshmen, very talented, but still learning the college game. Should add a little bit more to this Beacons team that is already off to such a hot start.
All right,
guys?
All right, Seth, thank you. And you hear Kirsten Morrison, 3-sport athlete in her playing days, which is almost unheard of. She played volleyball, she played basketball, she played softball. Saying just as busy in the coaching world, coaching the volleyball team as an assistant, now an assistant on the basketball team. You're going to see her somewhere in the springtime, too, so she can keep her 3 sports and 3 seasons routine.
Yeah, definitely a familiar face on campus here at UMass Boston. Kind of seeing her play. I was a freshman and she was a senior, just a dominant player in basketball, volleyball, and softball. I remember they had to put up a fence around they have a fence, and then they had to put up a netting because she was hitting so many home runs on to the road.
Beacons pushing here. Raven Kelsey, great pass. Dixon's layup, no. Grassi sticks it back. UMass Boston ahead, 8-6. We've played 5.5 minutes. It's the first lead today for the Beacons.
And that's really a great point by Seth because the men's basketball team did that last year with Sam Freeman. They brought in a lot of assistant coaches and one really to work with the big men, and you could see it improve his game immensely.
Yeah, you want coaches that when they break down to specific position drills can really have that experience playing the position they're coaching. Contreras, 3rd jump shot. This one gets the roll and goes. She missed her first 2. That touched every bit of the rim to even things up at 8.
And you talked about a struggling team offensively for Becker. They're hitting the net tonight.
So important to be making baskets, not just offensively for Becker, but that's how they set up their pressure off made shots. Dixon. Beacons run it down. Gianna Williams, who came off one of her best games of her freshman season last time out, just in. Williams gets it in the paint. Kick out. Grassi. And a 3-second violation. Waves off the made 3. That's one thing Grassi has been really impressive with so far is her 3-point shot. 5 of 9. So she's not just an only inside the paint post player.
Yeah, it's definitely different from a typical forward. Obviously in women's basketball, kind of staying down the paint and looking for the easy lay-ins. She could drop it back and come behind the arc and look for that 3, which makes her a very, very scary player.
By the way, I like how you let my Captain Obvious statement just sail by about how making baskets is important.
Yes, definitely important.
Usually one of the most key parts of this game. So, ball
Sorry.
back to the Beacons off the turnover.
Sorry for not touching on that.
8-8 scoreline. UMass Boston has left some points out there. A couple missed layups, a couple missed clean looks, but not turning the ball over much yet against this pressure defense from Becker that forces 30 turnovers a game. Vital. Grassi penetrates. Overpowered it. Look at Williams, Sky for the board. Stick back, no, and a third rebound's down to Dowdy.
Not a lot of turnovers, but also not a lot of good looks down low in the paint, and you really want to work in the paint, especially with Grassi and Kelsey out on the floor.
So both offenses feeling things out here early. There's a live ball turnover. Kelsey takes it away. She's fouled in the open floor. Smart play by Jaslyn Contreras to slow down the fast break.
Yeah, Contreras arguing that she didn't foul her and was just trying to play good defense. Obviously, that's kind of a tough one because Kelsey's just barreling you down.
Again, you'd almost rather would have the foul than let him play on there and let Kelsey get the easy layup. Fresh shot clock for the Beacons, 2.5 minutes to go. UMass Boston 3-1 this season. Becker is 2-2. Contreras really extending that defense out near mid-floor. In the corner, Katie Matthew off the mark. Kelsey, the offensive board. That's a fourth in recent times for the Beacons.
And that's something Matthew's always been good at, is just kind of pulling up behind the arc and taking that three-point shot.
Vital threw it out, deflected. So possession stays with the Beacons. Fresh shot clock off that rebound. Still 20 seconds left on the timer in an 8-8 game.
And a lot of cross-court passes by the Beacons early on.
Shot clock issue. The shot clock had reset when it shouldn't have at the last stop. So 18 on the shot clock. Yeah, you want to move the zone, but doing a lot around the perimeter and not a lot to the inside yet. We haven't seen many players get to that free throw line area, which is usually a soft spot in the zone. Get it there now with Williams. With 5, Matthew, no. Rebounding foul on Raven. Kelsey is her first, third on the Beacons.
And as you kind of talked about it, they got it to the shot that they wanted. All you have to do is turn around and take that jumper.
Gianna Williams just got it right out to the perimeter again. Could have turned and even gotten to the rim. There was no defense around her.
Exactly, and at this point in her freshman year, sometimes you just need a little confidence boost, and that jumper right there, if she hit that, maybe she would have got it.
Cassidy Harrison hits the short-range jumper. Harrison has 6 of the 10. Remember, she had that 4-point play earlier this game for Becker as well. Beacons have had no issues breaking the press. Vital in, she's fouled. Touch foul on Cassidy Harrison. It's the third on Becker and the first on Harrison. Not surprising to see Cassidy Harrison score 6 early points. She's second on the team, averaging close to 9 points a game.
Definitely not surprised, but their offense is usually very balanced, and obviously she has 6 of the 10 right now, which is good for Becker College.
Kelsey muscles it, doesn't go, and a rebounding foul on Katie Matthew is the Beacons' 4th. Stops play with 1:08 to go in the quarter.
And Gianna Williams reminding me of my 8th grade self in basketball. Once you get the ball, just pass. It doesn't look like she has any intent to really drive to the basket or take a shot.
A defensive struggle early inside the final minute of the opening quarter. Beacons way off the pace of the 96 and 90 they scored the past 2 games. Here's a three-pointer and a foul. Second time the Beacons have fouled a three-point shooter. Joey Grassi picks up her second foul. Jaslyn Contreras gets 3 free throws here.
Yeah, and a little bit of a Thanksgiving hangover right now with just bad defense and not the best. They have no touch right now, obviously, on the floor.
Too much tryptophan in the turkey, it sounds like?
Yes, definitely it.
All right, 3 free throws here for Contreras, 3 for 4 so far in her freshman season shooting free throws. Makes the first. Saw her dad and brother down below. Her little brother had a Contreras t-shirt made up that had Becker College Hawks on the front, her number and name on the back.
Number 1 fan. And what is Ball going to really say to him after this quarter to really jumpstart this team and get them going? Like you said, 90 points, 96 points, and they have 8 in the first quarter today.
Yeah, this game's being played at the pace that Becker wants, and Becker's wins scoring has been low. They had a 59-40 win last time out. Their other win this season was 57-54. Contreras goes 3 for 3 from the line. She scored 5. Largest lead today for Becker. Beacons have gone 4 minutes without a basket. Here's freshman Jelani Jackson out of nearby Brockton. Inside of the senior Matthew, and a foul is off the ball.
And that's something to look for. I mean, people to come off the bench and kind of give them a spark right now. It looks like the Beacons are just hesitant to kind of drive the lane and see if they can't get an easy lay-in.
Fouls on Sarah Ware. It's the 4th overall on Becker. Ware's first. Nearly turned over, and now it's taken away. On the run out, here's Mariah Triplett 1-on-2. Triplett didn't get it to go. Kelsey snatches a physical rebound. Shot clock is off. Beacons can hold for the final shot. Then Christina Ball hollers out from the bench. One shot. Inside the final 8 seconds. Jackson for 3. Off the mark, and that rounds out quarter number 1 as the Beacons go 4 minutes and 30 seconds without scoring.
Hop back on here. I thought we were going to Seth. Yeah, there was really that last shot. It didn't look like they had anyone that wanted the ball. They were just kind of passing it around, and they had to settle for a really deep 3. Coach Ball's got to get this offense going. And some way they can kind of do that is kind of push the pace and hopefully create some turnovers so they get some easy lay-ins.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have the second quarter, UMass Boston and Becker here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
I'm the first undergraduate alumnus to lead this university. I'm very proud of that. I was literally able to transform my life because of the University of Massachusetts, and I want that for every single student that walks through the door.
At the Clark Athletic Center so far in a battle of tempos, Becker has dictated. The game's been slowed to a halt. Beacons haven't shot it well, and Becker leads 13-8. It's a UMass Boston team that's averaging 93 points a game over its last 2, a 90-24 win over Riviere, and a 96-79 win over Fisher.
And a totally different Beacons team out on the floor right now.
Look at Mariah Triplett can the 3. You're right. Look at all these changes. Kelsey, Jelani Jackson, Tajay Mazik, along with Katie Matthew and Gianna Williams. A lot of youth in this Beacon group.
A lot of youth, and it looks like Coach Ball's trying to look for that faster offense that they're looking for, and Jackson just trying to maybe take it to the rack a little more.
Here's Jackson. Scored more than 1,000 career points at Brockton High School. She's got it in the corner. Pops for 3. Beacon still ice cold from outside, and the layup doesn't go for Williams on the follow. Beacons are 0 for 4 from 3, and that's at least the 3rd or 4th missed layup as well.
Yeah, and Vital checking in right now for the Beacons. As a veteran, you have to slow him down and get some easy shots to put in the basket. Down 8 right now to a Becker College team that's just creating turnovers over and over again against this Beacons offense.
Becker happy to milk a lot of the shot clock on its offensive possessions. Mariah Triplett sends it over into the corner. That's a travel. Jaslyn Contreras got caught moving her feet. Possession back to the Beacons. Now, the one positive for UMass Boston is there's been really no issue at all breaking this pressure so far from Becker. Until now. Broadcaster Jinx coming through, as always.
A loud jinx, too, that banged off the scores table.
Remember, this is part 1 of a doubleheader here today at the Clark Athletic Center. We'll have the Beacons and MIT men's basketball coming up next. MIT, one of the top teams in the New England region, beat a top 5 Tufts team last week. On the slip inside, Dowdy bobbled it, and it's out of bounds.
And Quinones checking back in for the Beacons. You need veterans to really step up right now. Obviously, they've been struggling. They haven't gotten a basket in the last couple of minutes. They need to get the offense going somehow, some way.
In fact, it's been about 6 minutes without a basket. Last bucket put them ahead 8-6, so it's a 10-0 run, though maybe more like a 10-0 slow crawl because it's taken 6.5 minutes to get there. Vital inside Matthew, can't end the drought. Quinones, no, and the rebound's down to Becker. Harrison pushing, home run, pass ahead to Mariah Triplett, traveled.
And Triplett, haven't heard her name much, the leading scorer for Becker, so they're doing a good job stopping her. But obviously 16 points out of Becker College. They're really playing at Becker's pace tonight.
Becker averages only 51 a game, but only gives up 56 points a game. Have the Beacons on pace for only about 35 here, 2 minutes into the second quarter. That's MIT math for you right there.
That's good stuff.
On the back cut, wide open, Matthew missed the layup. There is a lid on that basket right now.
Yeah, just no touch by the Beacons. A lot of open looks. They just a little too hard, and rims in and out.
7 minutes without a bucket for UMass Boston, trailing by 8. Backing in, Sarah Ware scores over the top of Quinones. 4 points for the sophomore nursing major from Oakham, Massachusetts, and Sarah Ware.
Everything falling for Becker College right now. Obviously a turnaround jumper, and the Beacons just can't buy a basket.
12-0 Becker run to go up by 10. Beacons need something easy. Here's Kelsey. Skips it to Quinones. Williams on the follow, ends the drought 7 minutes in. Gianna Williams follows and scores her first 2.
And I'm surprised they don't have Grassi in right now. With Williams and Grassi down low, maybe they can get some putbacks.
Remember, Grassi has 2 fouls, and we're still sitting here early in the second quarter, so foul trouble is looming large at this point.
Always on top of your game.
McKissick up top. On the penetration. Here's a clean look at 3. Sarah Ware. She scored 7. 21-10 Becker. Quinones beneath the tin. Muscles it in. Creative shot there from Alicia Quinones. And Christina Baugh takes timeout. So that timeout on the floor brings us to immediate time out as well. And our friend Seth Orensky's making his way over to the camera. So we'll check in with him. We've played 3:36 in this second quarter. It's 21-12 lead for Becker. For more, let's check in with Seth.
Thanks, guys. There's no reason to panic on the Beacon sideline right now. They know that they're being outplayed and out-hustled. The other thing is they're shooting 16.7%. A lot of bunnies, a lot of questioning looks from the sideline, just wondering how these shots aren't going down. This Beacons team coming off of 2 huge performances on the road, getting used to their home gym, not the biggest of crowds, but the bench seems pretty confident that it's just a matter of time before they can turn it around. Guys?
All right, thanks, Seth. Yeah, that's just what we were talking about up here. There just have been a lot of good looks that you'd expect would fall that haven't today. Missed layups, missed clean looks at 3, and things that were going down when you're scoring 93 a game. Now, you expected to come down to earth a little bit, but it's been a crash through earth down to the molten core right now offensively for the Beacons.
Yeah, I'm sure they've, as a coach at Christina Baugh, has definitely gone through this period a couple times with Thanksgiving. How do you keep your team so – they were at such a high, but now they're at such a low. How do you kind of keep your team, obviously, keep going on such a good note?
You know, it's like football teams going into a bye week. So often they, you know, if you're playing well, you almost want to keep playing because you go into that bye week, you come out and you're rusty. It takes you a while to figure things out.
And basketball, you need such a touch, especially inside the paint, and they really haven't had that tonight.
Beacons looking to speed the game up with pressure. Megan Dixon has returned as well, the freshman from Hanover. Raven Kelsey swipes the ball away for a steal. Dixon's ahead of the pack, trying to outrun Dowdy. Good defense from Dowdy, and the Beacons can't finish. Possession back to Becker.
And they got exactly what they want, a transition basket. Dixon has to finish there, slow it down, take a second, and then put it in the basket.
And give some credit to the junior forward, Adriana Dowdy, who recovered well defensively. Made that a much tougher shot than it could have been. Here's junior Katie Anderson. She's traveled furthest of anybody for her college on these 2 rosters outside of Mariah Triplett. Anderson from New Jersey. Only triplets traveled further. She's from Florida, at least out of the regulars that play for these two teams. Here's Dowdy into the corner. Just 2 to shoot. Tough looking shot. McKissick gets it to go at the shot clock buzzer.
Great acrobatic lay-in right there to put Becker College up by 11.
The first 2 for Sierra McKissick. She's another nursing major. That's the most popular major on this team. Blocking foul is called on McKissick, her first. Got to say, though, that's closely followed by equine studies majors. Becker is a school known for its equine studies program, which is a study of horses, but they don't just study the horses in terms of medical, physical, what you need, but also how to run a business if you wanted to run a horse stable business or things. And 2 of the players on this roster, Mariah Triplett and Alia Blondie, both there for equine studies.
I'll tell you what, that's a great fun fact.
Raven Kelsey gets it in. Another foul is called. It's the second foul on Becker this quarter, and the second in quick succession on Sierra McKissick.
And Kelsey kind of running the point right now, trying to look, well, now Vital, but they need something. They need to get some open shot.
You know, Kelsey's that type of player that when the Beacons are struggling, she's willing to go create her own shot. Right now, though, it's the Becker fouls that are extending this possession. Foul goes on Katie Anderson, her first, already the third on Becker.
And we talked about it. One of the Beacons' leading scorer, Joey Grassi, still on the bench with foul trouble. You got to wonder if she's going to come in before the half.
At this point, my guess is no. You'd think if she was going to come back, they would have put her in at some point during that 12-0 run. We'll see. 5 minutes to go before halftime. Ball in tight. Good finish from Gianna Williams, Connecticut State champion at Cromwell High School, and she scored 4 points today.
Gianna Williams doing a great job right now, really getting those easy lay-ins and getting those points on the boards for the Beacons.
Averaging that 6 points a game in her freshman season. Beacons called for a foul with Vital. That's her first on UMass Boston this quarter. Still a 9-point lead for Becker, and at the pace Becker plays, you know, a 9-point lead feels like 15. They don't give up all that many points.
Exactly, and we talked about it. The Beacons are just playing at their pace and not really accelerating and pushing the pace like they are now.
Quinones jumped the passing lane, so Kelsey gets it down low. Vital wants 3. Beacon still over from the outside, but Quinones runs down the offensive board. Vital makes Dowdy fall, gets it inside, and Williams is fouled. Whew, what a move by Lydia Vital to create that play. Free throws for Gianna Williams.
What a move, exactly, and we got to see if Williams can knock down these free throws and minimize the deficit.
So averaging almost 6 points, 5 rebounds a game, 4 games into her college career. Free throws off the mark. Only the second miss she's had from the line this season, now 6 for 8 on the year.
And with Joey Grassi out, they're going to look for Williams to kind of step up and be a big presence down low.
She goes 1 for 2. She scored 5 points in this second quarter. 5 of the 7 the Beacons have scored. Kelsey Maynard, sophomore guard from Millville, Massachusetts, just into the game. Gets it off to Downey, only 7 to shoot. Triplett, let's go at 3. Rebound down to Quinones. Vital on the gas pedal. Open look, Dixon. That's good. First 3 for the Beacons.
First free for the Beacons, and that's a huge free. And on the sideline, you can see Joey Grassi going to come in at the next whistle.
So she will come in with 2 fouls. Trust the freshman to play smart defense remainder of this half. Beacons back within 5.
And you can see all the energy on the Beacons bench. You can see they're starting to get their groove with a couple of points in the last minutes.
At 3 clanks. Dixon the board, coming off a double-double last time out. 4-time league champ at Hanover High School. Vital blows past the D and sticks it home with a kiss.
And the Beacons starting to get their groove. Obviously, Vital drove the lane. Great lay-in for 2.
4 points for Lydia Vital. Timeout Becker. So Becker takes timeout with 2:50 to go in this second quarter. Beacons are within 3.
Yeah, within 3 after looking for offense, searching for offense. It looks like they had, obviously they had that 1-3 in the corner, but a couple other easy baskets for the Beacons to kind of get them going.
It's a 6-0 UMass Boston run. So UMass Boston right back in with it. 3, plenty of time here before halftime. A huge momentum boost if the Beaks, who were down by double digits, could take the lead into the locker room.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, after kind of struggling throughout the whole half, you really want to just kind of tie it up and then go in and figure out a game plan to come out and really dominate.
Kelsey Maynard runs the point, averaging just 1.1 rebound a game this year, and she turns it over. Kelsey and Dixon push it ahead and slow down against the 2-3 zone defense.
And Kelsey has been very aggressive with that pressure. A couple open looks because of it.
Pass was too high for Kelsey to jack a 3. Dixon traveled before hitting the 3.
And that's tough, especially as a freshman. You just want that one shot to get you going. And she obviously hit it, but traveled beforehand.
Maybe that brain moving a little bit too quickly there as she travels. Possession back to Becker in a 3-point game. Ball is rocketed into Dowdy, who couldn't haul it in. Home run pass, Dixon missed the layup again. Got to be at least 10 missed layups for the Beacons in this first half.
Yeah, just got to slow down there, obviously. I said that once, I'll say it again. Just got to take a second and kind of put it on the backboard and get it in.
Cassidy Harrison straight away, sophomore from Foxborough. McKissick strip. There's Lydia Vital, defensive all-conference last year in the conference. Here's Grassi playing with 2 fouls. Her layup short. Foul trouble really took her out of her rhythm. She scored just 2 points today. And now Dixon trying to make a hustle play, bangs it out.
And so a couple of those fouls were on rebounds, so it looked like right there she was trying to play it safe and wasn't trying to do too much.
Yeah, did everything she could to get out of the way and make sure she wasn't called for a rebounding foul. .90 seconds to go in the opening half. Becker has led the entire second quarter, used a 12-0 run to turn a 2-point deficit into a 10-point lead.
And another turnover for the Beacons.
Inside, bucket for Quinones.
And we talked about it. What are the Beacons going to do to really get back in this game? Turn on the pressure. They've done that so far. Obviously, they've gotten a couple lay-ins that they haven't made, but they've also gotten a couple of points off of it.
Left wing 3, straight down for Harrison. Big answer. 9 first half points for Colleen Harrison in a 4-point Becker lead. Vital coast to coast, missed it.
Harrison got quiet there for a little while and hits a huge 3 to put him up by 4.
Now Becker will milk some clock, try to wind this half down. It looks like at worst, Becker will go to halftime with a 1-score lead. Chance to go up 2 scores or 3 scores. Triplet fouled. Only the second on the Beacons. It goes on Vital, her second, and it resets the shot clock, which means turn the shot clock off. Becker can hold for the final shot.
Yeah, it's a tough situation for Vital, a great defensive player, always pressuring the ball. They get her on a little chippy foul right there.
Quinones takes it away, big steal. Beacons pushing on the fast break. Bouncer to Matthew, she's got it.
Great look for Alicia right there to get an easy lay-in for Katie Matthew.
So Beacons back within 2, and now Becker again has the opportunity to hold for a last shot. Inside the final 8 seconds with Triplet. Down low, McKissick at the buzzer, and the foul. He's done it late in the buzzer a couple of times. Beat the shot clock buzzer earlier this quarter as well.
Yeah, it's a knife in the heart if you're the Beacons. Obviously playing so well in the last couple minutes, and for 0.9 seconds to be left on the clock and an easy lay-in and the foul, that's obviously a tough break.
4 points today for McKissick. They've both come late in a possession. Missed the free throw, and that'll do it. At the half, 28-24. Becker leads by 4 points. Take a quick break. When we come back, Seth Arensky will be down with Christina Ball, the Beacon head coach on the Beacon's broadcast network.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
Cheer for the stumbles. The he shoulda had that's. And the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There, you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified. It's in those moments that champions are born.
Moving from Turkey, it was a rough journey for me because when you don't really speak the language that well and when you don't really fit in the crowd, it's very easy to disappear. But I decided not to give up, and UMass helped me.
The University of Massachusetts Boston, with its scenic oceanfront campus, easily accessible to downtown Boston, is recognized as a model of excellence for urban public universities. 16 NCAA Division III sports are part of the more than 100 student organizations that create an engaging campus life in America's biggest and best college town. UMass Boston, Boston's urban public research university for the 21st century.
Beacons down 4 at halftime. Let's check in with Seth Arensky.
Joined by probably a little frustrated head coach Christina Ball. Coach, Thanksgiving can be difficult. You get a couple days away. Obviously a lot to work on, but the fact that you're only down 4 has to give you a little bit of positivity, knowing that it was an 11-point game and it looks like it could get a little bit worse midway through that second quarter.
Absolutely. I mean, we haven't seen this type of zone, the matchup. I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. We're flying the ball over the rim, so we are blessed to only be down 4 right now, and hopefully we can regroup and come back for the second half.
I know you'd like to hit some of your layups, especially early on. What else do you need to do offensively, though? It seemed like a little bit slow there and maybe a little bit rushed.
Yeah, we might need to attack the gaps versus zone since they're in that 1-1-3 look. But we have to continue to take open shots, but we've got to settle down on the break as well as in the paint. I think that's where we got to clean it up.
And then defensively, they've been hitting a lot of shots in the last 2-3 seconds of shot clocks, which have to be frustrating. And need to make any adjustments there.
Yeah, our ball pressure is awful. So we've got to trust our help and get a little bit more pressure on the ball.
Thanks so much for your honesty. We'll head back up top right now and take a look at some highlights.
Thank you, Seth. Always great hearing from you. We're going to send it to a couple highlights from this last weekend, men's basketball Harbor Invite Championship game. It was a thriller, and we'll pull up those highlights now.
really allows you to give yourself to other things.
Having that free time allows me to pursue the things that I want to pursue.
Division III athletics affords students the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport.
It allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Around with the aggressive force deck of running his case. One takes the turnover. Hey, with the left foot one towards Leo. There's a final goal. With the left leg by Johnson. Right leg. Against their first. A good shot. Good save. There's a big
Halftime continues from the Clark Athletic Center. Becker leads UMass Boston 28-24. Take a break. When we come back, we'll run you through those first half stats and get you set for the second half on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Hi, my name's Carl Joseph. I currently a criminal justice major. I'm a senior. I am from Brockton, Massachusetts. In basketball, I play small forward / power forward, and in track, I'm a high jumper. Basketball has always been my first love. The favorite part was probably our win over MIT. Like that was tremendous. I almost came to tears just from where the program has come from when I first came here to where we are now. It's just amazing, and I love it. Honestly, I was recruited for basketball. My high school coach actually emailed the track coach here, and she walked into the gym one day and it was just like, here, you, come talk to me. And I was on the track team. It really wasn't much of a choice. It was a great honor my freshman year, just being able to become an All-American, finishing 4th in my first ever national championship meet. It was quite the time of my life. My junior year, we received our LEC championship rings from our sophomore year. And coming in into my freshman year at UMass, I was able to witness the volleyball team win their championship and the soccer team, and the only thing that I really wanted was a ring of my own.
Here's Joseph knifing through.
Funny thing is, I actually work here as well. I am one of the Zamboni drivers to our men's and women's hockey teams, and that's what I do for part-time. Being a student here at campus, I can honestly tell you, is quite different from anywhere else you could possibly go. Just the student body here is amazing. I mean, the teachers are amazing. All the teachers that I've had never hesitated to help me out in any way that they could have, from extra help to me going into their offices just to talk about what's going on in the classes and just keep me on track. What I want to do when I graduate, I want to go into the police force for a little bit and ultimately end up either working for the Department of Homeland Security or the Department of ICE. It's definitely possible to be a two-sport athlete here at UMass Boston. It's just going to take a little bit of hard work.
Back at the Clark, Bill Spalding alongside Steve Witkowski. It's halftime. UMass Boston trails Becker 28-24. Halftime or quarter time. We're a quarter of the way through the doubleheader today. UMass men's basketball and MIT going on about 25 minutes after this game wraps up. Let's take a look at the first half stats. Not a pretty half for the Beacons offensively. You see those numbers, only shooting 28%, missed a lot of layups. Three-pointers didn't fall either. The only real positive number for the Beacons is against a team that forces 30 turnovers a game, only turned it over 5 times.
Yeah, I mean, 28.6% field goal. They're really playing at Becker's pace, but another thing that they got a lot of their baskets out of was rebounds and turnovers. And, I mean, Baugh talked about it a little much, that they need to hit those easy lay-ins to get those points.
Now, Becker turned it over 15 times, but when they kept the ball, boy, they shot it well, 50% from the floor, 4 of 6 from 3, and shot well from the free throw stripe also.
Yeah, and Baugh talked about their pressure not being so well. Well, that's what I thought. They made their little run. Obviously, it was about an 8-2 run in the second quarter, and they really got back in the ball game, and that was from the pressure from Raven Kelsey and Lydia Vitale.
And now take a look at the individual leaders in that first half. Becker really balanced. And these are numbers from a previous Beacon game. Seeing some old faces like Murphy on the board there. But at halftime, leaders for both teams, you look at the Beacons, they were led by Gianna Williams, 5 points. Important second quarter for Gianna Williams. Meanwhile, Becker was led by 9 points from Cassidy Harrison. She made a 4-point play, a 2, and a 3. And now, here are the updated numbers.
Yeah, and we were really raving about about Joey Grassi, and she was out for most of the half with foul trouble. So Gianna Williams really stepped it up. Quinones another 6, Vitale another 6, but Gianna Williams, very impressed by her play. Obviously a freshman off the bench, usually a great half for her.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be set for second half action. UMass Boston and Becker coming up on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and I know how powerful words can be. The term gay doesn't mean stupid, lame, or less than.
So I pledge to speak up if I hear the term gay used in a derogatory way or any other homophobic terms.
If you can play in Division III.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and my teammates unconditionally accepted me as part of their family. So now I pledge to do the same for others. If you can play in Division III.
What separates UMass Boston from other schools is the fact that a large percentage of students commute. For me, it takes 2 hours each day to go to and from school, but every second has been worth it because the students that come here are serious about learning, they value their education, and understand where it'll take them in the future. This is what UMass Boston means to me.
All right, set for half 2 here at the Clark Athletic Center on the Beacons Broadcast Network with Steve Witkowski. I'm Bill Spalding, glad to be with you. If UMass Boston is to improve to 4-1 on the season, Steve, they've got work to do. Trailing by 4 at halftime against the 2-2 Hawks of Becker. And I know it's the most obvious thing you could possibly say, but at this point for the Beacons, it all comes down to actually making shots. They've gotten good looks, just haven't put it away.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to put it in the net. That's what it comes down to. They've gotten good looks. They've played good defense. they've done everything right, but when they have the open shot, they just haven't hit it. And you see that with a 28.6 field goal percentage.
Coming off games where they scored 90 and 96 in back-to-back games. Beacons in white, Becker in black. Joey Grassi on the floor playing with 2 fouls for UMass Boston. The star freshman was held to just 2 points in the first half for the Beacons.
Yeah, and they switched around their lineup a lot.
Clean look from the outside for Ware is short. Rebound to Grassi.
Switched around their lineup a lot in the first quarter, second quarter, but they have their starting lineup here in the second half.
Grassi penetrates and gets it to go. At 6 feet tall, she's got a guard's game. She can score on a 3, she can hit the little rudder like that, and then she can still play like a big physical forward inside.
Yeah, a very exciting player, and the Beacons did miss her in the first half.
So UMass Boston right back within 2. Beacons have only led once today at 8-6 after jumping ahead 8-6. It's a 12-0 run for Becker. That didn't go for Harrison. Rebound is pulled in by Sarah Ware. New possession for Becker.
And a lot of different players for Becker really picked up offensively. You got to wonder if it's going to be the offense is going to be spread like that again.
Off-ball foul on Lydia Vital, and that's a big one. It's her third.
Yeah, you talked about it before. One of the defensive all defense last year in the LEC, a very good defensive player, but sometimes gets a little too physical, and that hasn't been good tonight.
Long 3 straight away, falls off the mark. Another good look for Harrison, who hit 3 3-pointers in the first half. Here's Megan Dixon. She's got a 3.
And Dixon made one late in the second quarter, but it was waved off because of travel. So she has made her last 2, only one of them counting.
Made her last 3. She was 1 for 2 in the first half, then had the one wiped away, and now knocks this one down as well. UMass Boston back on top.
And usually Raven Kelsey's starting, but Dixon gets the start tonight, and you can see why.
Has been playing so well. Scored 21 points, had 10 rebounds last time out. Anderson's 3 off the mark. Good rebound for Katie Matthew, who's forced to play more of a forward role at 5'8" on this 4-guard lineup the Beacons send out there.
Yeah, she's always been a point guard, shooting guard exactly, and a little different for this Beacons team this year.
Vital playing with 3 fouls out for Matthew. Into the corner, Dixon wants another 3. Rebound McKissick. Clean look, Harrison. Too strong, Dixon the board, and a 3-on-2 for the Beacons. Ahead to Katie Matthew. Layup, no. Grassi, yes. Joey Grassi has scored 4 early points in this third quarter. Largest lead today for the Beacons, up by 3.
And you can see the offense is starting to get in a groove. Obviously, they have Grassi out there making a couple baskets, and Dixon with the 3.
It's a 7-0 UMass Boston run to start the half. Anderson couldn't end it. Offensive board and follow for Harrison. The 5'7" guard sneaks inside. She's up to 11 points.
I was just about to point that out. Harrison with a board and no one around her.
Dixon finds the cutter. Quinones for 2.
And it looks like the Beacons are playing more of their pace right now, obviously coming out of the gates hot in this third quarter.
Yeah, this type of offense UMass Boston showed in wins against Riviere and Fisher. How about that Riviere win at 90-24, a 66-point win for the Beacons. Largest margin of victory in program history. Ball's batted away. Beacons push it ahead. Quinones. 2 more. She's the first Beacon of double figures. UMass Boston by 5, and you got to think that David Bostic's considering a timeout at some point soon.
Yeah, we talked about the great defense by Vital. You got to wonder if she's going to come out of the game in foul trouble. She's leading this defense right now.
Driving hard, blocking foul on the Beacons, Quinones. Sarah Ware will shoot free throws after the second foul on Alicia Quinones.
Yeah, that was a great point by you. I was wondering the same exact thing. Obviously, the pace was getting up there, especially with a slower team. Not exactly slower, but less offensive team. You got to wonder if he tries to take these timeouts and slow the game down just a little bit.
Beacons are on an 11-2 run, and it stays that way as Ware's short on this one. Sophomore from Oakham, Massachusetts. She's a nursing major. Becker, located in Leicester, Massachusetts, just outside of Worcester. Majority of their opponents so far have been from the Worcester area, like Anna Maria and WPI, along with Clark. Did play Maine Presque Isle on the road last time out.
Yeah, definitely not a bad drive. down I-90 to the good old Bean.
Maybe. You know that traffic sometimes is a horrible drive. Matthew out for Grassi. That's good. Joey Grassi has scored 7 of her 9 points early in this third quarter. Beacons by 7. The answer's good for Harrison.
And you can see the energy is starting to get upped on the bench and in the Clark Athletic Center with all these threes falling for the Beacons.
5-point lead for UMass Boston. Johnny Jackson's entered the game. Backdoor cut, Matthew. Looking for Dixon. The ball's out off Becker. With Jackson in, Vital went out, so with 3 fouls, she's on the bench for a bit. Great start to this quarter, though. Beacon scored 24 points in the first half. They have already scored 14 points in the first 4:31 of the second half.
Yeah, definitely exciting. A lot more exciting if you're a Beacons fan. A lot of different scoring, not just from Grassi, but also from Vital and obviously Dixon from behind the arc.
Grassi's entry to Quinones blocked away. Dowdy got a hand on it. Becker forces the turnover. There's Adriana Dowdy again.
Becker trying to slow this game down a little bit and get it back into their pace.
What they did in the first half brought the game to a grinding halt. Adriana Dowdy, 4-3. Her first 3 points of the day. She averages close to 8 a game. Becker's back within 2. Next whistle will bring us to a timeout on the floor, but before that, how about a third 3 for Megan Dixon?
Yeah, we talked about it, how good she really is and how great of a shot she has. Just showcasing that in the second half today.
5-point Beacons lead, 17 points in the first 5.5 minutes of this quarter. Quinones forces the steal. And she's fouled. So foul goes on Becker, throw it on Sierra McKissick, her third. It brings us to a timeout on the floor with 4:28 to go. 24 points in the first half. How about 17 points in the first 5:32 for the Beacons? And for more on what's gone on over the course of this first few minutes, let's check in with Seth Orensky.
Thanks, guys. One thing to watch here in the final 14-15 minutes is how the Beacons handle their substitutions. This is a difficult week. 3 games in 5 days, including the most important game this Saturday at Keene State. UMass Boston elected to keep Lydia Vital out there after picking up her 3rd foul early on in the quarter, but we're going to see probably a little bit more substitutions going forward in this game. We only see the Beacons go 8 or 9 deep. Chris Ball said she wanted to go a little bit deeper into her bench, knowing that they're back at it on Thursday against Fitchburg State, and then, of course, their conference opener on Saturday at Keene State. Guys, it's all yours.
All right, thanks, Seth. And easier to go deeper down your bench if you can start to open up a lead. Beacons were coming from behind and to stick with that tight rotation, but now up 5, and if they can keep shooting like they have here early in this quarter, Steve, chance to maybe break it out, and then you can get deeper in your bench.
Yeah, and a very exciting half so far for the Beacons. Their starters kind of struggling. We saw them go to a lot of different players. They have such a large bench, which was a problem last year. They didn't have really that deep of a bench. Obviously, they got all these freshmen in, a couple transfers, and
Christina Ball went out recruiting so many freshmen in this year. Yeah,
exactly. And sometimes as a second, third-year coach, that's when you start getting the recruiting handles down.
Inside, Quinones whirls and finishes. Basketball thought about it a bit. It hung there on the rim and then elected to fall through.
And I talked to a couple of the basketball players about all these new starts. Katie Matthew, a senior, she said they're really trying to build a culture of women's basketball, and that's very easy to do when you get a lot of talented freshmen in.
Offensive board ripped away by Adriana Dowdy. Look at Grassi jump the passing lane and force the steal. 20 turnovers already for Becker. Dixon, wide open 3, short. Rebound on the run out goes toward McKissick, and Becker's into the front court. Beacons have really done a good job on Mariah Triplett. She scored just 3 points today, has it now. Clean look, Harrison. Offensive board for Dowdy on the weak side, and a new possession for the Hawks.
And you can see Grassi being very, very conservative right there and not picking up an over-the-back call.
Triplett for 3.
And something that's really kept Becker in this game is their three-point shot. Obviously, they're not the biggest team on the floor, but they have been knocking down a lot of three-point shots.
Quinones tried to precision strike a pass in there. It's kicked. Possession will stay with the Beacons. That was trying to really fit that ball into a tight space.
Almost like Tom Savage yesterday trying to throw to the Ravens defense.
I don't think he was trying to throw to the Ravens defense.
Through the Ravens defense, but did throw to the Ravens defense.
Yes. Kelsey, whether he was trying or not, a number of balls ended up in the Ravens defense. Possession will stick with the Beacons here. Shot clock issues again, so they'll bring the ball out to the sideline, get the shot clock in order. 17 seconds left to shoot for the Beacons late in this third quarter. Remember, part one of a double dip here today at the Clark Athletic Center. UMass Boston men's basketball and MIT should be a fun one coming up about 20-25 minutes after this game wraps up.
And you can hear Bob being very vocal about where the younger players should kind of go, especially with Jackson out there instead of Vital. It's kind of tough, especially with a freshman point guard.
Harrison enters. Dowdy in deep, draws the foul. Established great positioning against Raven Kelsey.
And we talked about earlier in the game how much Vital really means to this team because of a veteran point guard and against a team that does create a lot of turnovers. The Beacons offense has been struggling in the last couple minutes without Vital out there.
Free throws for Adriana Dowdy in the first, rattles out. Dowdy, a sports management major at Becker, junior from East Haven, Connecticut. UMass Boston getting ready to return Gianna Williams to the game. I think Dowdy may have lost a contact or something to that effect. She's going right over the trainer. She's holding her hand out. Maybe even a slight cut. I think that's what it is, wrapping up one of the fingers like it was cut.
And Gianna Williams, like we talked about, coming into the game, obviously had a great first half. Look at the Beacons try to work it down low with her.
6 points for Williams in that first half.
And I think
referee's heading over to talk to Christina Baugh now.
Looks like they're assessing the finger, and there might be blood on the court.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Get somebody from the facilities, or in fact, one of the athletic trainers will bring a towel out. Two and a half minutes to go. Third quarter, Beacons by 4, trailed by 4 at halftime, have led by as much as 7 in this second half.
Yeah, Beacons really came out with a jolt and a spark in this third quarter, but Becker still hanging on.
Rebound down to the Beaks. Jackson pushes. Here's Dixon into the corner. Kelsey wide open. She knocks it down.
And we talk about some of these younger players starting to get reps. Jackson in now, especially if this happens against Keene State. She has a little experience in this Becker game.
UMass Boston back up by 7 again. 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Triplet for Contreras. Baseline drive is swatted. Whew, Gianna Williams climbing high to slam that one out.
And something that has really driven the Beacons offense this quarter is their defense and three-point shooting.
Beacons trailed 28-24 at halftime. They have outscored Becker, as a foul is called down low, by a 22-11 score in this third quarter. Foul on Jelani Jackson is her first. Fourth on the Beacons this quarter, and free throws for Sierra McKissick.
I don't think they're doing much different, anything. I think they're just knocking down their shots when they take them this time.
And once you score, that oftentimes motivates your defense. And when Becker's not scoring, they can't set up their full court pressure.
Exactly. Keeping the pace fast and really quickening up the pace has done the Beacons well.
1-for-2 trip for McKissick. Beacons by 6. Kelsey out for Dixon. She's got it. Another Beacon 3. 25 points in this third quarter after just 24 in the first half for the Beaks. On the other end, another foul on a jump shot and a 3. Third foul on Joey Grassi. For the third time today, the Beacons commit the cardinal sin and foul the three-point shooter.
Yeah, it's a tough move. Obviously, Grassi a little upset because it is her third foul, and she is in a little bit of foul trouble. But that is a cardinal sin. You can't be doing that. That's just letting Becker back into this ball game.
Colleen Harrison at the line has scored 13 today, but leaves that one short. Harrison, a sophomore nursing major from Foxborough. Almost doubling up her season average. Averages about 9 a game. She's scored 14 already today.
Yeah, really keeping this Becker team in the ball game. Been lethal from behind the arc, and she has gotten fouled 2 times from behind the arc.
Made a 4-point play earlier on a 3 where she was fouled. So Beacon lead trimmed back to 7. Kelsey. Here's Dixon on the penetration. Triple team, lost the ball. Becker's defense converges inside. Final 75 seconds of the third quarter.
And Coach Bosick looking a little upset right now. He looks like he wanted to push the pace so they can get another chance with the basketball.
This deep 3 from Contreras, well short, and skipped straight out to the Beacons. Took that from a long way out.
Yeah, and that's what Becker College has really tried to go to when they can't get it inside. It's just deep 3s, and for this second half, it really hasn't worked.
Meanwhile, UMass Boston has looked in this third quarter the same way it looked the past 2 games. 25 points already in the quarter. Pass from Dixon, easily intercepted. Dowdy was there. Dowdy dribbled through a double team. Extra pass triplet. And that's going nowhere. Split the difference. Backcourt violation. Another Becker turnover.
A little too fancy no-look pass. Just goes into the backcourt.
Passed up a wide open 3 as well, and elected to drive and then dish.
More of these long passes from the Beacons, and that's resulted in some turnovers today.
Dixon penetrates. She's fouled. Foul on the floor resets the shot clock, which means the shot clock is now off, and the Beacons can hold for the final shot in a quarter that's seen UMass Boston outscore Becker by 11, 25-14.
And something that's really done the Beacons well is really moving the ball around and getting the open shooter behind the arc. You've seen it a couple times with Dixon and then Joey Grassi. Obviously, they've knocked down a lot of 3s, but they've been primarily pretty open.
Sarah Ware re-enters for Becker. Beacons back it out to Jelani Jackson. Just 10 seconds left in the quarter. Jackson on the drive, slings it out, 5 to shoot. Quinones with 3. Jackson with 1, throws it up, short at the buzzer, and it stops play after 3 quarters. The Beacons now ahead by 7. 25 points in the quarter. Beacons looking to close it out and move to 4-1. Fourth quarter coming up next on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
UMass Boston was my first choice because when I came to the campus, I saw that there was a lot of diversity. There's a lot of people. Here there is a lot of international students, so it's really cool to meet people from different countries, different parts of the world. I'm Julia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
I'm Olivia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
We're sisters.
We're sisters.
I play volleyball and she plays basketball. Here they have a freshman success community. So each major has their own community that you can join as a freshman, and you take classes with them, you do study groups with them. So it was really helpful getting to know people in your major right away.
So in health exercise sciences, we have an internship at the end, so it's so much better to have like an advisor helping you out, like telling you which classes to choose.
At the Clark Athletic Center, we're on to the fourth quarter. 49-42, UMass Boston looking to move to 4-1. Leads Becker with Steve Witkowski, Bill Spalding. Glad to be with you. Witko, big turnaround in the third quarter. Beacons scored 24 first-half points, but 25 third-quarter points.
Yeah, very exciting if you're a Beacons fan. Just an exciting game, an exciting quarter to watch. A lot different, polar opposites from the first half of the Beacons.
Beacons in white, Becker in black. Reminder, stay with us after this one for men's basketball versus MIT. Cassidy Harrison trying to keep Becker in it. She has scored 18 points, and that 3 makes it a 4-point game.
And we talked about it before, how well distributed their offense really is.
And there's the Becker press forcing a turnover. That's how you can get right back into it.
Yeah, exactly. And Harrison just taking the brunt load of their offense right now, knocking down shots from behind the arc, and they're just riding Harrison right now.
18 for Harrison. Nobody else on the Hawks has scored more than Sarah Ware's 7.
And something to look at, Vital back in the game for the Beacons, which is huge.
She's back in with 3 fouls. Joey Grassi still out with 3 fouls. Dowdy's 3 off the heel of the rim. Kelsey rebounds and is fouled.
And something this Beacons team doesn't lack this year is size. They have off the bench, we talked about it, Kelsey obviously great off the bench. Gianna Williams great off the bench today for the Beacons. Obviously she's in the game right now for Grassi. Something they didn't have last year was size.
Third foul today on Sarah Ware on that rebound. Beacons to the offensive end, up by 4. There's Megan Dixon. She's hit 3 3-pointers, 2 in this half.
And Becker really turning up the pressure because they know they need points and they need them quick.
Just 7 to shoot. Dixon wide open, rattles it out.
Something Dixon does not lack is confidence in this game. If she's open, she'll take it.
A good shooter shoot. She's taken about 6 3-pointers a game in her college career.
Shooter shoot.
That's way off the mark. On the follow, Dowdy got a piece of it and lost it. Comes back to Dixon again. Dixon all the way to the 10 is fouled. Good push from Dixon, who's done a lot of her scoring damage from the outside. Gets inside there, and she'll shoot free throws.
Well, she has had a couple lay-ins that she really hasn't executed well tonight, but getting a push off there gets her to the line.
Free throws for Dixon. Good 3-point shooter. You'd expect her to be good on free throws. Just 3 for 5 so far this season.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little different when you're at the line and everyone's looking at you.
Yeah. Didn't scare her this time as she hits the first.
Just talking from my 8th grade basketball experience, I don't have much other than that.
And those are the types of credentials it takes to be a color commentator on these broadcasts.
Gotta be 8th grade basketball.
Beacons up 5. Now 6. 14 points for Dixon. She now leads the team. Not bad for somebody who struggled early in the game. Remember, she missed the first 4 shots of the game.
And we talked about the Beacons trying to get a little deeper on their bench. It looked like today they've kind of used about 12 girls, and Contreras just checked in for them.
Contreras back in for Becker. Remember, she had a big second quarter as Becker moved out ahead. Just 5 to shoot. Back to basket, McKissick on the kick out. Clean look, Harrison. This time it's off the mark. Hadn't missed many of those open looks today. UMass Boston by 6. Beacons have led by as much as 9 in this second half after trailing by 4 at halftime. Quinones skips it. On the penetration, wild shot for Tajay Mazik, didn't go. Harrison the other way, looking for contact. No call, and the Beacons push it. Vital to the outside. Quinones fills the lane, left it short.
And even though this hasn't really resulted in a basket, but the pace of this game is starting to move really quick.
Little helter-skelter, and it's capped off by a Cassidy Harrison layup and the UMass Boston timeout. 51-47, Beacons lead, 2:43 into this quarter. And that timeout will stretch to a media timeout as well. So we'll step aside. When we come back, we'll send it down to our guy, Seth Orensky, here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
The
the 5-campus UMass system is the university that educates the workforce of Massachusetts. We recognize that we are truly here for a reason, and that recognition inspires us and drives us every single day.
Our man on the sideline, Seth Arensky, was inside the huddle getting the inside scoop, so we'll talk to him at the next possible update and hear what the Beacons are saying down on the bench with Steve Witkowski. I'm Bill Spalding. 51-47. UMass Boston leads Becker. Had to grind this one out after a couple blowout wins. Not going to get much more of a blowout win than the 66-point win over Riviere. Followed that up with a 96-79 win over Fisher. Today, Beacons have had to grind it. Only scored 24 points in the first half, trailed at halftime. The offense has been better in this second half. Now Beacons looking to hold on, up by 4.
Yeah, it definitely looked like they lost their touch a little bit. And in this second half, you can kind of see the 3 balls falling and the transition points kind of racking up. But they have to do a better job controlling the basketball and not giving it away so much.
Vital around the horn. Comes back to her. Just 10 to shoot for UMass Boston. Still playing without Joey Grassi, who has 3 fouls. And there's a hand check foul going on Becker, which will reset the shot clock. Second foul on Cassidy Harrison.
Not playing with Grassi, and a couple of their big shooters on the bench, Raven Kelsey, and obviously Dixon has been hot in this second half. And obviously without their Masick, you want to see if she can kind of get a shot off. She looks like a facilitator right now, just looking to pass.
Yeah, Masick out there with Vital, Matthew, Williams, and Quinones. Quinones, baseline drive. Masick steps into a shot. It's off the mark.
On cue.
Took the look that time. Did what you asked her to.
Took the look, and sometimes as a freshman, it's just taking that first shot, getting the nerves out, and hitting the bottom of the net, and then you can just feed it.
Here's Harrison rolling off the handoff play. Contreras. Just 7 to shoot for Becker. They've slowed the game back down in this third quarter with 3 to shoot. Dowdy, 4-3, no.
Slow the game down and hit that occasional 3 that really keeps them in this ball game.
Vital, nothing slow about that. Coast to coast in a blur.
Such a great player, when to take it to the net, when to kind of pull out and facilitate. Definitely a veteran.
8 points today for Lydia Vital, even though she's been fighting foul trouble. Beacons up 6.
And that's something she has to be better with on Saturday because she's such an integral part of this offense for the Beacons.
You gotta guess that's the game she's had circled on her calendar against her old team, transferred from Keene State this offseason. Oh, how about that? Late in the shot clock buzzer. Mariah Triplett. She's up to her season average of 9 points.
And the occasional 3 that takes them into the ball game.
Yep, 3-point game, and now a Beacon turnover. Vital led Matthew too far. Chance for Becker to tie on this possession. Beacons bring back in Joey Grassi and Raven Kelsey, placing Williams and Quinones.
And it's not like they're getting the best looks. Obviously, Harrison keeping them in this with being so lethal from behind 3, but they haven't had the best looks in this half.
Becker takes time out here. David Bostic will talk things over with his side, and our Seth Arensky's making his way over to our camera so we can chat with him as well. 53-50, Beacons by 3. It's got the feeling of a nail-biter down the stretch. Remember, this is just game 1 of 2. UMass Boston men will take on MIT later in the day. All right, Seth is down courtside. Let's check in with him.
It's been a frustrating night for UMass Boston and for head coach Christina Ball. The biggest thing she keeps preaching is the need to be a little bit more aggressive. Too much passing for UMass Boston. She keeps asking some of her better ball handlers to drive the ball, kick it out, rather than just passing around the perimeter. Right now, UMass Boston probably in this game a little bit closer than they expected against the Becker team, at least on paper, that they had a big advantage against. We'll head back up top for the final 5 minutes right here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
And that, Mr. Arensky, is why they don't play the games on paper, as Becker is right in this ball game. 53-50, UMass Boston over Becker. Beacons have led by as much as 10 in this quarter, but Becker has hung around. You've said it, well-timed three-pointers have pulled the Hawks back in the game.
And you can see Vital is doing that, and just that, what he was talking about is taking it to the rack, especially as a veteran, picking and choosing the times they could take the easy shots and kind of take the three-pointers. But for this second half, the offense that has been fueling the fire for the Beacons has been the three-pointer.
Becker basketball, again, can tie this game with a three. Be the first tie since the Beacons went ahead in the third quarter. That's travel. Trapping defense. Mazik and Matthew combine.
And Contreras really upset with that call. She didn't think she traveled. Obviously, two Beacons playing great defense.
Into the corner, Grassi hits a three! Just off the bench, she has 12 points. In a game where she's only played limited minutes because of the foul trouble, she's still made a big impact.
And they talk about looking for that easy shot. I mean, that easy shot that they keep making is the three-pointer.
Now getting the clean looks because of the ball movement. Vital takes it away. It's a 2-on-0. Matthew. No. Mazik, yes.
Great follow-up by Mazik. Obviously, that's a great hustle play by her to kind of pick up the loose baggage for the Beacons.
Tajay Mazik puts the Beacons up by 8. That surge since the timeout, starting to possibly put this one out of reach.
I wouldn't be surprised if they hit a timely three-pointer here.
It's been par for the course so far for Becker. Instead of foul on Mazik, it's her first, second on the Beacons. Beg your pardon, first foul on the Beacons in this fourth quarter.
And look at the ball to go to Harrison. Obviously, she's been hot all night.
Instead, it's Triplett, and she scores 11 today for Mariah Triplett. 8 of those 11 in the second half.
Yeah, we weren't saying her name much in the first half, but now she's been doing great.
Same spot for Grassi, different result. Rebound down to McKissick.
Great defense by the Beacons here. You can see Baugh jumping up and down. The pressure has been on. They resulted into a travel over there and a couple turnovers. Great defense in this fourth quarter.
58-52, Beacons by 6. Scored 34 points in the second half after just 24 points in the first half. How about that drive to the tin for McKissick?
And you can see Grassi being a little hesitant to play really tough defense because she doesn't want that fourth foul.
7 points today for McKissick. Back to a 4-point game. Vital breaks the pressure herself. Mazik sticks it in off the dime from Vital.
And you didn't know who it was going to go to, either Matthew or Mazik, but she took the ball and put it in the hoop.
She scored a quick 4. Beacons back ahead by 6. Lydia Vital is a dynamic player. Whirling inside, foul goes on Matthew. Another good move by McKissick.
And we talked about this whole press and turnovers and stuff like that. The Beacons have played great against the press, really knowing when to kind of drive and break the press and knowing when to pass.
Third foul on Katie Matthew. 2 free throws for Sierra McKissick. Becker needs it all. Inside of 3 minutes to go, trailing by 6.
And this is when free throws become so important. Obviously, a miss here is great for the Beacons.
One more coming for McKissick, who has scored 7 points today. And now she scored 8. How about freshman Jelani Jackson pulled into ball handling duty against the pressure late. Gets it to her classmate, and it's Mazik again. And 6 fourth quarter points.
And we talked about it. Maybe she just needs a little bit of confidence to kind of take that shot. She looked a little hesitant in the third quarter, and now in the fourth quarter, after those 2 lay-ins, a nice bunny that finds the bottom of the net.
Puts UMass Boston up by 7, just 2:20 to go. This is where Becker has found big shots throughout most of this game to stay in contact. Triplett, her three's blocked. Dowdy, no! And a rebound run down by Vital. Over the top to Kelsey. 9-point lead.
And a great turn of events if you're a Beacons fan. Obviously, great defense right there.
No timeout from David Bostic, letting his team play through it. Inside the final 2 minutes, Beacons by 9, looking to put it away. McKissick over Grassi, didn't go. Kelsey a physical board. Now looking for a double-digit lead. Here's Mazik.
And at this point, you got to slow it down if you're the Beacons. Take it back to the top of the point and really use all the clock.
And that's just what they do. Inside with 8 to shoot. Kelsey penetrates. And a foul's called on Becker, which will reset the shot clock with just 1:14 to go in a 9-point game.
And a great call by Ball right now to have Jackson and Vital out on the court. 2 point guards. Kelsey also another great ball handler that can just handle the ball and kind of keep passing it around to waste this whole shot clock.
Referees coming together here as Grassi walks over to Christina Baugh.
And it looks like Grassi's upset. She might have a little cut on her finger that they're making her figure out.
Yep, I'm going to tidy it up quickly with 74 seconds to play. Boy, how big was that foul? Beacons had just 5 left on the shot clock. Got a new 30 here. And if you're Becker down 9, you have to consider fouling in this situation. Otherwise, Beacons could run it down to 44 seconds and lead by 9 or more.
Have to consider fouling, and we talked about it all day long, how integral part of the Beacons, if they were to win today, they have to hit the free throws. And this is the time they have to ice the game.
Beacons get it in to Gianna Williams. Grassi's still out of the game. They're still tending to that finger.
That's such a big Beacons player to be out, obviously because it's a big body that they could get offensive rebounds from.
Now Becker elected not to foul, so we're inside the final minute. Beacons up 9, still 15 seconds that can kill in the shot clock. Here's Raven Kelsey with 8 into the teeth of the D. Mazik just short. Well, she's been dynamic in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, questioning why Becker didn't foul there. Obviously, they only have a minute left and down by 9. It doesn't sound mathematically possible.
Now Kelsey, the interception inside the final 35 seconds, and Becker will foul here. Reach in foul on Cassidy Harrison, but you're right, they let so much time tick away. Now 9-point Beacon lead with free throws coming and only 30 seconds on the shot clock and 32 seconds on the game clock.
Yeah, electing to not foul in that situation just doesn't make any sense to me because you're trying to get the ball back with 50 seconds left, down 9, if not more, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Free throws for Raven Kelsey. Only 1 for 5 from the line so far this season. And now 1 for 6.
And she's someone that's always in the gym working on her shot. I'm sure it will come later in the season, but obviously conference coming up, you got to start knocking down some free throws.
Beacons will be here on Thursday to take on Fitchburg State. Beacons Broadcast Network will bring you the call at 5:30, and then UMass Boston heads up to New Hampshire to take on Keene State in the conference opener on Saturday. Kelsey goes 1 for 2. Beacons match their largest lead of the game, up by 10. Just 32 seconds left for Becker to work with. Reminder, stay with us after this. UMass Boston men's basketball and MIT in a good matchup coming up right around 7:05.
Well, talking about looking forward, it looks like the Beacons started to find their rhythm in this second half. It's very exciting, obviously, on the road at Keene State. Such a big matchup in the LEC. It looks like it'll be a good one this Saturday.
Beacons get the steal on the inbound. Becker laying off for the time being and will not foul. Shot clock is off. Beacons will just hold. Wasn't easy. Only 24 first half points, but the offense found itself in the second half. Beacons outscore Becker by 14 points, 41-27, and free throws coming after the late foul with 6.7 seconds to go.
Yeah, with Grassi in this second half, and obviously taking over the offense, her and Dixon knocking down those threes really put some points on the boards for the Beacons.
Lydia Vital hits the first free throw. She's a point away from an even 10 today, and her impact was huge, helping break the pressure throughout the course of the game.
Huge. And you got Jackson in the game, obviously a freshman coming out of high school, hasn't seen, the most playing time, and obviously before conference play, that's kind of huge.
Kelsey Maynard at the buzzer, no. UMass Boston outscores Becker 43-27 in the second half en route to a 67-55 win. Take a break. When we come back, we'll have Seth Arensky and head coach Christina Bao on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
I'm Elizabeth Clavin, sophomore business management major from Edina, Minnesota. I love being a part of this volleyball team. Volleyball is what brought me to UMass Boston. I looked at our recruiting website one last time and saw UMass Boston on it, came out for a visit the next week, and it kind of hit all the boxes that I was looking for. In a good city, good academic school, good volleyball program, it had everything I wanted. Although it was far away from home, I knew this is where I wanted to be. Winning 6 back-to-back LEC titles is really a dynasty, I think, and Terry has really focused hard on recruiting and building this dynasty and continuing to build a program that can continue to win championships, and it's really lucky to be a part of something this great. Last year I was the Little East Conference Defensive Player of the Year, All-Conference second team, NCAA Regional MVP of the regional tournament, ABC All-Region Honorable Mention, and New England Women's Volleyball Association All-Rookie Team and Honorable Mention. I think my favorite game would have to be playing in the regional championship last year. We played against a really good Williams team, and I think that match, we started off a little shaky and lost the first set. We've lost in the whole playoff season, and I think that kind of shook us a little bit. We came back firing, and we're ready to go those next couple games. Our coaches are bringing in a lot of really strong girls who want to make a commitment and make an impact in this program, and I think that is why we're continuing to do well and will continue to do well for the next few years. Being a student here has been really awesome as well. I've recently started taking more of my business classes and found that it's a good choice and a good fit for me. And eventually I hope to open my own business and kind of be successful and do what I love at the end of the day.
My name is Kirsten Morrison, aka Keek. I'm a senior here at UMass. I'm in the Exercise Health Sciences program, and I play volleyball, basketball, and softball. I came here for volleyball, and I chose between basketball and softball, and I went with basketball my freshman year to play, and it's always kind of been a thing that I wanted to do is play softball my senior year.
My head coach, Christina Baugh. Coach, you were able to pull it out thanks to a nice run there towards the end of the third quarter, early fourth quarter. How does a game like this help you with such a young squad, maybe not overlook teams, but also learn how to finish off some of those teams in those close games?
I thought we settled down in the third quarter, obviously our best quarter of the night. So when we made the adjustments and tried to regroup and bring energy back to the game, I thought they responded. So that was huge, and we're young, so we've got to grow up game by game, quarter by quarter. And I really challenged them with their effort and their energy, and I thought they did that in the third.
Vital's not putting up big scoring numbers, but especially in that third quarter, her ability to just weave through that press and just her calming presence, how huge is that for a young team, especially sort of just a gift, a transfer within the conference?
Absolutely. She's huge. I tell her all the time, there is no break. You are the break. With her speed and her ability to see the floor, I told her average 6, she should be having 6 assists a game, and I think tonight she had 7. So she's right where she needs to be, and when she does that, we're really dangerous. So hopefully she can continue to do that.
You had a week off before tonight. Now you're back in action Thursday and then Saturday. What are the things that you're going to tinker with this week trying to get ready for Keene?
We got to watch film. We've been off for too long, so getting back to the basics of film, and we're going to do a lot of layups tomorrow.
Thanks so much for your time, Coach. Congrats on the win. We'll head back up top as the Beacons move to 4-1.
All right, thank you very much, Seth. Coach Baugh's company is 4-1. Here's how they got there. Let's take a look at the highlights. Back at the Clark Athletic Center, let's take a look at the statistics from today's game. We'll start with the team stats. UMass Boston is the winner here over Becker College. Beacons shot so much better in the second half. Remember, they were only at 28% after the first half. End up shooting 41% and 42% from three. Now for the team leaders for each side. UMass Boston in that second half got scoring from a lot of different places, but it was Megan Dixon hitting some three-pointers. Beacons get 14 from her. On the other side, how about Cassidy Harrison doing everything she could to try to keep Becker in it. But the Beacons go to 4-1, and Becker falls to 2-3. Quick thank you to our production team working double duty. They're getting ready for the next game as well, so we get to thank them doubly today with Rachel Maslak, Anthony Searles, Alex Gibbs, my partner Steve Witzkowski. Got the whole camera crew. Bill Spalding saying so long. Beacons are winners in game number 1. Game number 2 of our doubleheader, UMass Boston and MIT, coming up in just a matter of minutes. We'll be right back with you on the Beacons Broadcast Network. From the Clark Athletic Center on the campus of UMass Boston, Beacons Broadcast Network is on the air with a good non-conference matchup between the 3-1 Beacons and the 3-1 MIT Engineers. Good evening, everybody, alongside Jeff Ebbs, Bill Spalding. Glad to be with you, Jeff. We got a good matchup coming here. MIT 3-1, some big wins, but a loss to a Little East team in Keene State last time out. Beacons 3-1 this season as well, with just one close loss and good measuring stick in front of them today.
Yeah, this is going to be the biggest test of the year for the Beacons by far. I think both stylistically, MIT really brings a different style that we don't see a lot in this conference. The LEC is generally pretty up and down, fast pace, a league you can create a lot of turnovers and capitalize on. UMass not like that. UMass is a slow it down execution conference, so this is going to be a learning experience for the Beacons today.
Let's take a look at the series history between these two teams. Of course, crosstown rivals, they play together a lot. And the Beacons have played MIT pretty well consistently. MIT leads the series 8-3, including a win last year, but the Beacons generally play them close. Now for the starting lineups, we'll start with MIT. The point guard is A.J. Yurko. Shooting guard is Nacho Nuwana. Ian Hinckley is one forward along with Tim Roberts. And the real star of this MIT team is Bradley Jomard, a guy at 6'6" who can do a little bit of everything. Aren't many players like him at this Division III level. He's got Division I skills.
Yeah, Jomard has a chance to be, honestly, probably National Player of the Year, sometime during his career. He really can do everything. He brings, a Division I mindset. He really understands the game. He plays great off the ball. And that's really kind of trickles down to the whole MIT team. You're going to see a lot of that from everybody.
And now the starting lineup for the UMass Boston Beacons.
Ty Lee, sophomore guard from Boston, Massachusetts.
Charles Mitchell, shooting guard, freshman, Roxbury.
Dace Sinelli, sophomore guard / forward, Boston, Massachusetts.
Michael Boyd, freshman, guard, Malden, Mass.
Kevin Lewis Jean, senior, forward, Hyde Park, Mass.
Guard-oriented lineup for the Beacons, and you and I were talking about it off the air, but one of the keys for this Beacon team is getting those guards involved in the rebounding.
Yeah, and I think, I don't think there's going to be too many times this year that UMass is going to really win the boards, especially against a bigger team like this. I think their goal, you got to try to draw even. If you can keep it within 5, 6, or 7, especially against a team like this, you got to think you're going to be in the game at the end. If they start getting dominated on the boards, 12, 15, or worse, they're going to have a tough time. And again, this is going to be their biggest rebounding challenge of the year so far.
And you already mentioned the clash of style in terms of pace. Beacon's going to want to push it, play a little helter-skelter, speed MIT up. Engineers want to slow it down, execute. They grinded a very good Harvard team at the Division I level in a season opening game for Harvard that was an exhibition for MIT. Grinded them to the very end, a 9-point win for Harvard in a game that was a 2-point game a few minutes from the end of the game.
Yeah, I can tell you from playing this MIT team 4 times, this is defensively one of the most frustrating games you're going to play if you let them dictate style. They put you in a bind defensively in pretty much every screen that comes, every pass that comes. You have a decision to make as a defender, and if you make the wrong one, they're going to capitalize every single time.
Head coaching matchup, Jason Harris in his 3rd year with UMass Boston. There's been progress each season. 6 wins his first year, 14 last year, and a 3-1 start this year. Larry Anderson, 23 years at MIT, a team that has some consistent history. They went to the NCAA Tournament last year, losing to a Little East team in EastCon. So they've lost back-to-back Little East teams in their last 2 Little East matchups. MIT and the Maroon will get the first possession as the Beacons drop back into man-to-man defense. Size all the way around for MIT, and an early foul goes on the Engineers. Tim Roberts creating space down low.
Now, Bill, I can tell you what you're going to see a lot, and you saw it first possession, is they're going to run this Princeton offense, which is a 1-4 high. They're going to enter the high post a lot, and they're going to get that backdoor over the top. They'll get that as much as they can, especially with their size advantage.
Yeah, can pass over the top of the smaller defenders. You see the size particularly at point guard, where A.J. Yurko is 6'3" for MIT. Here's Ty Lee for the Beacons, sophomore. One of 3 players who won a state championship at New Mission High School on this Beacons roster, but Dason Sinelli travels.
Now you can see defensively MIT on that end. They're in all-out ball denial. The way they're going to counter our guard-laden lineup is they're going to go all-out ball denial on both wings and force you to play inside the three-point line.
Meanwhile, UMass Boston decides to put on the full-court pressure, as is the norm under Coach Jason Harris, looking to make life difficult for MIT. Bradley Jomard, junior from Paris. Talking about Paris, France, not Paris, Maine. One of the top players in Division III basketball leads this MIT offense. Off-ball foul, and this time it goes on UMass Boston. It's on Ty Lee, his first. Foul trouble always important for UMass Boston, particularly at the forward position with Kevin Lewis-John, because there's not much in terms of size behind him if he's in foul trouble.
Yeah, but I will say that, that's a positive of playing this many guards, though, is it gives you a lot of defensive versatility. They really have the ability to switch everything. I think you'll see that at some point tonight, where you see it right there, where they switch at the top of the key. So they can play without fouling.
That was Charles Mitchell switching on to A.J. Yurko, and then Cincinnati gets his hand on the pass. Possession with MIT, just 9 seconds left on the shot clock, and Ian Hinckley, 6'4" freshman shooting guard from North Carolina, gets it in for the Engineers. Just 5 to shoot. Hinckley fading away, left it short. Good rebound for Sinelli. Beacons looking to push it at every opportunity. Lee turns it over. Jomard the steal, 4-on-2. Nuwana left it short. Rebound out, Yurko free from 18. Nothing doing early. Lit on the basket over the first minute and 20 seconds.
Not a bad job recovering in transition, but those are the possessions you just can't waste. You can't afford to waste possessions against MIT.
Kevin Lewis-John traveled. That's the 3rd turnover already for a Beacon team that has barely turned the ball over, only averaging about 10 turnovers a game for a young squad.
Yeah, which is really impressive, and that's, if they can do that, that's going to keep them in a lot of games, regardless of who they're playing. But you can see right now, MIT's defensive, just their defensive presentation is already speeding up UMass.
Charles Mitchell guards A.J. Yurko. Now the ball out to Ian Hinckley. Hinckley creates a better look and hits. Got his man in the air and went past Sinelli for the clean jumper. First bucket of the game comes for the freshman mechanical engineering major. Unsurprisingly, MIT has a lot of outstanding students on their roster.
Yeah, it shows in their offense, too. They don't take a lot of bad shots. Every shot they get is pretty much exactly what they want.
Pass toward Kevin Lewis-Jean is broken up out of bounds, and will stick with the Beacons. 15 to shoot. Maybe the one weak point for MIT this year offensively has been turnovers, which is surprising when you consider a team that plays that deliberate tempo. They've turned it over almost 17 times a game.
And what I can tell you about that,
Mitchell off the mark from 3.
What I can tell you about that is that offense that we just talked about and how it's so tough defensively, that's tough to run as an offensive player too. That takes a long time to learn. Every decision that you have to make has got to be right, and you've got to be able to communicate with your teammates.
There's A.J. Yurko. Inside to Tim Roberts. High-low feed. Yurko, no. Jomard on the tip back.
Yeah, and that's just a basic face cut right there. You just face cut right down the middle of the lane. Somebody needs to be in there, put a forearm in him.
And saw a guy at 6'5", passing over the top of a defender who was only 6'2" on his back. So Bradley Jomard on the board for the first time, averaging about 14 a game this year. Ball is out of bounds to MIT after a 4th Beacon turnover of the first 2 minutes and 52 seconds.
You know, when you talk size, too, it's so easy to talk rebounding, but you just mentioned it with the easy pass. What it does, it almost creates like the LeBron James effect. When you're bigger than everybody else, everything becomes easier, and they kind of have that height advantage at every position.
Jomard draws a foul in the backcourt on Sinelli, his first. Now, Bradley Jomard, 6'6". Last season, he was injured most of the year, played 15 games. Scored about 16 points a game in those 15 he played. Year before, he was the NEWMAC Conference Rookie of the Year. But he has the skills to do a little bit of everything. You see him bringing the ball up the floor here at 6'6". He can hit from 3 as well. Look at Mitchell steal the inbound and go at Jomard for 2. Charles Mitchell sparking the Beacons.
Those are some of the cheap buckets they're going to have. If you try to win this game off execution, I don't think that's going to happen with a young group. Going to have some cheap baskets off turnovers.
Charles Mitchell, freshman from New Mission High School, along with his twin brother Charlie, and there's Mitchell again forcing the turnover. He's fouled. Charles Mitchell giving the Beacons a boost on defense, turning it into offense.
Now you see it right there in transition. Hopefully you see it some in the half court. This Beacons team cannot afford to play behind the three-point line. You have to attack their size and get into their body. They will foul you.
Foul on Ian Hinckley is his first. So here's Mitchell, who won back-to-back state championships along with his brother Charlie at New Mission High School. Already scoring about 16 points a game over his first 4. That's a tremendous start to a freshman career. Beacon's been pretty balanced offensively. 3 different players averaging at least 10.8 points a game, led by Mitchell. And Mitchell knocks down the free throw here. So he has all 3 for the Beacons, who've scored 3 in a row and are back within 1. UMass Boston has sent in Dennis Hutton, and he's quickly called for a foul as he fouls Bradley Jomard.
And I can tell you, I saw both games this past weekend of the Harbor Invitational, and they played a very small rotation. They only played about 8 guys consistently. Dennis Houghton was not one of them, so they're going to have to expand their rotation in games like this.
He's a freshman from Gardner, Massachusetts, and you'd assume for some of the younger players, maybe the rotation will get a little bit bigger as the year goes on and they get acclimated to this college game.
Yeah, and I think with young players playing at this level, they don't all have an expansive skill set. They might be 1 or 2 things that you know that they bring you, and if it's called upon in this game, they'll play.
It's a backcourt violation. It was caught in the front court by Hinckley, but his momentum took him to the backcourt. Second MIT turnover. So he played 3:26, and all things considered after the slow start, Beacons have weathered that early storm. Ty Lee into the front court. So many different guys who can handle the basketball for this Beacon attack as well.
And similar to what we said defensively, that's going to give you a lot of versatility on this end. There's not necessarily a point guard. There's 3 or 4 ball guards that will handle.
Kevin Lewis Jean travels. Is off to a decent start in his return to the Beacons. Missed last season, but back this year averaging about 11 points, 3 rebounds a game for the senior from Hyde Park. There's Cameron Korb, first substitute into the game for MIT. Rolls back around to Hinckley. This is Jomard, member of the French U16 national team while he was playing before his college days. Just 7 to shoot. Yurko, kick out. Jomard, way off the mark, and the rebound to Charles Mitchell. Heavy on the gas pedal, ahead to Houghton for 2. Beacons lead.
I can tell you one thing about that last defensive possession is over the weekend we talked a lot about being able to defend penetration. That's not one advantage MIT has. They don't have a lot of penetrators and guys that can get into the lane. It's all off ball movement and execution. You see it right there. You got to love UMass defensive posture right now.
Yurko off the mark from 3. Hinckley runs down the board. Comes back to Jomard. Inside, good pass, and Roberts finishes off the assist from A.J. Yurko, who was also the NewMac Defensive Player of the Year last year. MIT back on top, 6-5. Lee into the lane, offensive foul. So Ty Lee got caught in the air, and that's 2 on Ty Lee already.
Yeah, and that can be a problem because he's probably their most under control guard. We have a lot of youth and athleticism at the guard spot. He's only a sophomore, but he's not that style. He's always under control. They're going to need that.
Brings us to a timeout on the floor. We'll step aside when we come back. More basketball. MIT 6, UMass Boston 5.
Paris changed my life, and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris. The subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in, and a woman in a long gown. And it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. It's one of those moments you never forget.
Back at the Clark Athletic Center, MIT leads UMass Boston 6-5, 4:58 in. at the big whistle that led to the break. Second foul on Ty Lee, so he exits the game. And now you have the Mitchell twins, Charlie and Charles, out there together. They haven't gotten all that much court time together yet this year, but if you watch New Mission High School all the past few seasons, they were almost always on the court together.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised if you're seeing them for the first time. You'll be surprised how different they really are. Charlie is a penetrator. He loves to get to the basket and finish at the rim. Charles is very much a perimeter shooter.
And that's the only way you can tell them apart, because otherwise they're identical. Cameron Korb works it forward, junior from Los Gatos, California. Computer science and business analytics major at MIT.
And you can tell early, Coach Harris has told these guys they cannot go by you. They're right in them, no airspace at all.
Yurko open for three. A.J. Yurko from Bradley Jomard. That's good ball movement from the Engineers. So with Charles and Charlie both out there, Charlie currently running the point. Charles played off the ball. Comes around to freshman Michael Boyd. Charles Mitchell, let's go with three. No. Good rebound, Hinckley picking it up off the backboard. Hinckley trailing the play, pops and hits. 8-0 run for MIT, including back-to-back threes. Timeout Beacons.
Yeah, that's 2 in a row now that are open just off good ball movement. That one in transition, the other one the half court. Those are the ones you cannot give up.
MIT, a really good shooting team. They shoot about 38% from three. And how about 52% from the floor to start the year?
Yeah, you know, as far as that three-point percentage, I wish I could, know what that is on uncontested threes. If they get airspace, they're going to hit them. You have to close their airspace, get your hands high. Just make them uncomfortable.
Well, we have a chance. Let's say hello to the third member of our crew today. We have Steve Witkowski working down courtside.
Hey, something to look forward to in this first quarter. A lot of ticky-tack fouls called by the refs, and I don't think it's going to stop, especially playing a bigger team like MIT. Something to watch. Back to the booth.
All right, thank you very much, Steve. And yeah, we were talking about how the foul trouble is going to influence this game. Already Ty Lee with 2 fouls. Beacons have been called for 4 fouls over the first 5 minutes and 54 seconds.
And I can tell you if that is how they are going to call it, UMass has to be ultra aggressive getting to the basket. They have the athletic advantage. They have to get in there, get into their bodies, get to the rim.
Charles Mitchell with possession. Outside for Michael Boyd. That's good. Contested 3 for Boyd. He's averaging 10.8 points a game in his first season out of Central Catholic High School.
Yeah, and my biggest criticism of Mike Boyd is actually, maybe the best compliment I can give him. He needs to be more aggressive. Physically he can do it. He has a bigger body than both the Mitchell twins. He needs to get into the lane, be aggressive.
That's a backcourt violation. Cameron Korb thought the ball was deflected, but referees rule no. He went into the backcourt on his own. Your officials today, by the way, Eddie Colon, John Rafferty, and Stephen Uno. Beacons make another substitution, so Dason Sinelli returns to the game. Also, James Hawkins in for the first time, the 6'4 senior. Charlie Mitchell hits a contested 2. It's not an easy shot. Stop, catch, and shoot. Beacons answer out of that timeout, 5 in a row.
Yep, and you're going to notice they just brought number 2, Iser Barnes, into the game for UMass. And notice immediately when he's in there, they extend their pressure 94 feet. He's definitely part of that. He can help change the game defensively.
Barnes averaged 10 points a game last season. He's accepted a different role as a senior. Jomard got a piece, couldn't finish, and ball's out of bounds. In case you're wondering, by the way, Bradley Jomard could actually answer the question if he says, this isn't rocket science. He is a major in aerospace engineering at MIT. He will actually be a rocket scientist when he graduates.
Those jokes were pretty thin pretty quick when we played them my freshman year, lost by about 40. We stopped making fun of them.
Yurko up top. Into the corner, Korb. No. There's Barnes skying for the rebound. He always plays bigger than his 5'9" frame.
Yeah, you see his defensive stature right there change that whole possession. He gets into the guard, he makes the pass tough, they shoot a deep 3 from the corner.
Tough contested jumper from Hawkins over the top, didn't go. Ball's out off MIT.
Now you can almost think of Barnes as like an Avery Bradley type player where not everything he does shows up on the stat sheet, but his defensive presence changes what all 5 guys do on the court.
12-10 MIT. Twice the Engineers have gotten out to decent leads, and twice the Beacons have surged back. Barnes got caught in the air, and Yurko, the defensive player of the year in the new MAC, forces it free. Yurko whirling, kick out, Hinckley for three.
And you see what MIT does an unbelievable job with is what we call secondary transition. They don't get a ton of layups off being quicker than you, but they'll come up, they'll get you in odd numbers rush, and they'll get an easy three.
They've made their last 3 threes, and they've all been clean looks like that.
Yeah, they're going to kill you like that. They'll come up, they'll get ahead of you, and they'll make 3 or 4 passes, get an open three.
One way to slow Ian Hinckley down is to get him into foul trouble. He just picked up his second foul and the third on MIT. Engineers haven't been going all that deep the past couple of games, including the loss to Keene State. Been a little banged up. A couple players out of uniform. Only 8 players, make it 9 players in uniform for MIT today. You got 5 players in street clothes. This is Charlie Mitchell again, penetrating, gets past his man, hangs and missed. Sinelli, no. Third try didn't go as Hawkins batted at it.
Yeah, what you'd like to see, so you see Charlie Mitchell right there get that high ball screen. He comes off and he stutters. You'd like to see him turn the corner, get his head and shoulders by you, and just attack.
That stops play, 11:45 to go. UMass Boston trailing MIT 15-10. You're watching on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
The University of Massachusetts Boston. It's just minutes from downtown, and the Princeton Review calls it one of the best values in the country. A nationally recognized institution of academic excellence and research, UMass Boston offers more than 150 undergraduate and graduate programs, 16 Division III sports, and more than 100 student organizations. To learn more about the opportunities waiting for you at UMass Boston, visit in person or online. UMass Boston, a research university with a teaching soul.
15-10, MIT leads UMass Boston. Non-conference matchup here at the Clark Athletic Center. Busy week for these teams. Beacons will be into conference play starting on Saturday, so important to be feeling good heading into the conference opener up at Keene State. And you wonder just how good that Keene State team may be. They took down MIT for the Engineers' only loss this year. MIT next will play Salem State on Thursday and then LaSalle College on Saturday. So far this season for UMass Boston, the close loss last time out, 82-78 against Bridgewater State. But also wins this year over Norwich, Wheelock College, and Fisher College. Have to grind out some close ones, a 3-point win and a 4-point win mixed in there. MIT had that loss to Keene State, but otherwise, how about a 39-point win over Bridgewater State, a 30-point win over Eastern Nazarene, and maybe the most impressive of all, a 10-point win over 6th-ranked Tufts.
Yeah, and that's exactly the kind of team MIT is. Not to overstate the obvious, but MIT has the ability to blow you out just through execution over the span of a half, 3/4 of a game, and it will start to get away from you a little bit. The longer you keep it close, the better of a chance you have.
Yurko picks up the foul on Iser Barnes off another one of those off-ball cuts.
Yeah.
People hear Princeton offense, and all they think about is the backdoor cuts. But if you're only thinking backdoor, you're forgetting about the fact that the Princeton offense also has so many through-the-lane cuts like we've already seen today.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, if you're in proper defensive position, you should be on the ball side anyway. It should be a little easier to shuck those cutters coming through the lane. If you're lazy getting to the basket line, they're going to make those face cuts for layups.
Kevin Lewis-Jean and Bernard Taylor enter the game for UMass Boston, and Charles Mitchell comes back in as well, placing Iser Barnes, Michael Boyd, and James Hawkins.
And Bill, you just said it a minute ago, MIT will take advantage of every mistake you make, even if it's just a little bit of laziness. If you don't sprint from the corner to the basket line every time the ball swings, they're going to take advantage of that.
Yurko's scored 5. Well, that's how they stuck around with a Harvard team that many have picked to win the Ivy League in the first game of the year for both sides. MIT only lost to Division I Harvard, a 5-time NCAA Tournament team over the last 8 years, by 9. Good defense this possession from MIT. Charles Mitchell to the outside for his twin brother Charlie. Floater with 3 off the heel, and there's Jomard cleaning up the rebound.
And what I do like about UMass offense right now is they're getting 2 and 3 ball reversals. Great steal there.
Look at Charlie Mitchell for 2.
No, they're getting 2 and 3 ball reversals every time up the court, which is exactly what you want. What I don't love about it is a lot of those ball reversals are coming with 2 and 3 dribbles.
Mitchell right back on the ball, and he bangs it out of bounds. Relentless effort from Charlie Mitchell, who is graded by his brother Charles, who's made a couple steals like that already today as well. Boy, Beacons, even when it's just a one-man pressure, can be relentless there in the defensive end.
Yeah, they all have the ability. We talked about interchangeable guards. They all have the ability to defend one-on-one and keep you in front, keep their hips square.
MIT will bring some guys back to help out Cameron Korb. Yurko and Jomard both into the backcourt. Yurko's bumped and fouled. You got to walk that line between aggressive defense and fouling. First foul on Mitchell, but already the 6th on the Beacon. So every foul the rest of the way is going to send MIT to the free throw line.
Yeah, I do like the extra pressure and, even taking chances here and there too, because what you'll see with MIT's guards, they're great in the half court as far as execution and handling with what they know. Full court ball pressure is not their strong suit.
Korb in the corner, around to Hinckley. Now Jomard penetrates past Sinelli, but runs into trouble. Just 8 to shoot. Hinckley wants 3. Rattles out, skying in. Taylor takes the rebound. Freshman from Boston, played his high school basketball at Malden High School. So far, playing about 15 minutes a game over his first 4 collegiate games, scoring 3 points, but also giving the Beacons some rebounding. 3 rebounds a game in those 14 minutes. Charles Mitchell, stop and pop, step back, tough-looking shot, didn't go. Hinckley has the MIT board.
I think as UMass starts to settle down as this game wears on, they're going to start to hit those shots.
Making MIT work for it in the offensive end. Comes out to Hinckley. Penetrates. Yurko. Good entry pass for Roberts.
That's another example right there. Sinelli's actually not in bad defensive position, but he has to get on the other side of him. If you get on the other side of him, you're going to totally take that pass away and force a skip.
4 points for Tim Roberts, who's off of Martha's Vineyard out of Oak Bluffs, Massachusetts. Great high school basketball player at Martha's Vineyard High School. Now Roberts the steal, and turnovers today, maybe the one thing you couldn't afford for the Beacons, who haven't turned it over much all year. 6 turnovers already today.
Yeah, and they're getting a couple things that they haven't seen from the first 4 opponents. 2 things. They're getting fronts in the post, which they haven't seen yet this season, and they're getting all-out ball denial on the wings.
Jomar down low for Roberts, and he walked.
And these are things that Coach Harris can preach every day in practice, but until you see it and play against it, it takes some time to figure it out.
Charlie Mitchell hops out for a quick break. Ty Lee back in with 2 fouls, so now he'll have to be very cautious the remainder of this first half. Lee into the game, rejected. Went right to the rim, but Hinckley stuffed him. Nacha Nuwana and Aiden Einloth enter for MIT. Nuwana returning. Einloth, a sophomore from Illinois, in for the first time. One of the things about MIT, they have a global recruiting base because everybody wants to go to MIT.
Yeah, and it's funny. The associate head coach at MIT, Tyler Papadinas, is actually a former coach at UMass. And him and I have had the opportunity to talk about their recruiting situation at MIT, and it's interesting because they get high-level talent, but he estimates they might only have about 100 potential players at that school.
Roberts into the lane, gets it to go. That's Bernard Taylor with the good floater. You said only about 100 kids a year that could even get into the school if they wanted to come play.
Yeah. You got to look for the combination of can you play here, do you have the ability, and then obviously can you academically be here.
And on top of that, there's a lot of turnover in MIT's athletic department from kids who get there. They're there for school as Jomard scores and realize that the college basketball commitment on top of the rigorous studies might be too much.
Yeah. I know every university has challenges. I know we certainly have ours here, being an employee here right now, and MIT has a whole different set of challenges.
MIT back up by 7. Sinelli drives the baseline. Good move. Didn't finish. Tried to tip the rebound out, and Nacho Nuwana claims it. Jomard pushing all the way to the rack. It's an offensive foul on Bradley Jomard. All things considered, Beacons have done a nice job on Jomard so far today.
Yeah, one thing we've talked a lot about UMass over the past couple weeks is if you can play hard and defend and limit your turnovers, you'll stay in these games.
Brings us to timeout on the floor, 7:32 to go. Beacons hanging around, but MIT leads by 7, 21-14.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins.
Back at the Clark Athletic Center, let's check in with Steve Witkowski.
Harris talked about the last time out was turnovers. The Beacons have to minimize the turnovers, and already with 9 today, it's tough playing a quick and tall team at MIT. They have to minimize the turnovers.
All right, Steve, that's a huge key. We've been talking about it. Only average 10 turnovers a game. They're at 9, and there's still 7.5 minutes before halftime. So not necessarily what you were looking for game plan-wise for the Beacons, but even with that said, they're still in this, only down 7. MIT has not been an offensive juggernaut in this game. Engineers average 82 a game. They're only on pace for about 60 right now.
Yeah, it's a little give and take. MIT hasn't, played a turnover-free game either. UMass defensive pressure is obviously accounting for some of that, but the flip side of that coin is UMass can't afford to just match the turnover battle with them. They have to win that.
21-14, UMass Boston trails MIT. Beacons have Ty Lee, Charles Mitchell,